Oh, so what are you doing? You getting something taped? Huh?
I'm taking it to the podium.
Oh, I thought you were gonna fix your tie or something, you know?
If they are, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, you're not a pocket. Yeah.
I thought maybe you'd call in. I didn't know.
Shit, it's embarrassing.
Okay, we live, Amy?
Yes.
Okay, and who's on so that I can ask a question?
Hang on, that is not turned on, Ruth. Like always.
I would turn it on, but I'm afraid to.
Afraid to touch it. You gotta be an engineer to do that.
Can somebody call?
Abby, are you there?
I'm here and I can hear you guys.
Oh, fantastic. You know, you're my check-in person to make sure we're good today.
I know I have to stay in my office. I can't go talk to Gabe, so I'm here.
All righty. First, everybody, welcome Friday, March 19th, 2021. Those of you in Zoom land, welcome to our county commission meeting. Very soon,
You guys are muted now.
Amy's fault.
I clicked, I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, Amy, she's the little one over there hid behind the computer monitor. She takes care of that for us, so.
I'm standing up.
Oh, she's standing up now. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so let's get started. Eddie, do you have any exonerations this morning?
Yes, sir, I do. Property. Here's our-
Doesn't matter, Eddie.
Yeah.
She can take all of them.
I just wanted to point one thing out to you. This one right here, that was a supplemental tax ticket. It doesn't hurt your budget. The 0 button stuck and when she hit enter and she said, oh, so immediately had to cancel it.
Well, that's a good one.
So that's,
Yeah, it's $77,093.
Yeah.
the taxpayer really appreciated us correcting that ticket.
I can imagine. I can definitely imagine so.
Yeah.
Okay, I move we approve this.
No second.
All right, we have a move and we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. We don't do those on Friday. Fridays, we don't do refunds.
I hear you. Well, I won't turn them in on Monday then. I'll make copies.
Okay,
I can make copies of these.
okay. I make a motion to approve the refunds Eddie presented for us for personal property.
Michelle, do you already have these people's names and stuff?
I do not yet.
Okay,
I'll make copies of it.
okay.
Thank you, sir.
A second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
They will have two copies.
Yes. Eddie, Michelle's now taken all of our notes for our meetings, so she would be the ones that gets the copies.
Okay.
9:50 tonight. You gonna stay up?
Yeah. I wouldn't care if it's 3:50. I was gonna say it once.
You know, I don't know why they got the last game.
That would be an excellent time slot.
Yeah, Dad informed me that he's gonna take a nap this evening so he can stay up and watch it.
Yeah, we were all talking about today. Don't take a nap. Good thing it's tomorrow Saturday.
It's me, yep.
I'll go get copies of these. I'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Oh, and thank you for the information for our budget too.
Okay, well, you're welcome.
All right, vouchers and invoices. Oh, we've already up to date. Yay. All right. Minutes.
No minutes yet.
Okay, we're still working on those. State settlements.
Not today.
Do we have any of those?
Not today.
Okay. Good. All right, Ruth, your exhibits.
Abby is. and
Gabe, are you on the phone?
Abby.
Gabe is on his way down the stairs at the moment.
Oh, he's on his way downstairs. Okay.
Yes.
The first item was his table.
Sorry.
From Shippo, so, and he's the second item too. And the third item.
Okay, well, we want to skip him till he comes in.
Yeah, so the fourth one was we want the tabled, never mind, there's Gabe.
Never mind, there's Gabe.
Good morning.
Morning.
You need to make sure that mic's on.
Justin.
I don't think it is.
Justin, I need to hold it.
The battery's probably dead.
Yeah, probably the batteries are dead again.
Yeah, well,
It's all loud.
I can project and take my mask down.
Oh, that's a good thing. I can hear you now.
There we go. All right, so the first thing on the agenda is the historic development grant, which was tabled from last week. I am waiting on a bid from Grishaber Masonry. We met on Tuesday to look at all the masonry over there, the Memorial Building. And so after looking at Dan Sneed's numbers that he gave us in the projection from this year compared to last year, it was 16.5 last year and 10 this year. So I went ahead and just got a hold of a mason to be like, let's get a bid for sure, see where we're at. So what I have currently, I presented this to you all last week, but in the event that I know you have a lot of paperwork, I'll give it to you again. Based on Dan Sneed's numbers, here's where we were at. But again, I'm waiting for a mason to get me an exact number for all the masonry work, so we can figure out exactly what not only we can afford, given that we're looking at another repair over at the Memorial Building, and we have the ARP funding potentially coming down, and we're also asking the EDA for funding. If we can get the masonry taken care of, so just again, trying to get a sense of how much masonry work is going to cost for the entire building. And so if we can put a bigger request in to get more covered, and I feel like we should go that route. So we're waiting on the bid from Grishaber Masonry. So I'll ask that we table this again until we get that bid back. I was hoping to have it today. He might have it to me this afternoon. We can maybe further discuss it at that time, but hope to get a more accurate depiction of not only where we're at with funding, but also how much it's going to cost for all the masonry work.
Do we have to table or can we, what's it?
Postpone.
Postpone?
Yeah, this is due on March 31st. So
That'll have to be the next meeting.
we have some time. March 31st is the deadline. So if it has to wait till next meeting, that's fine.
So the 26th, we have to act on.
We'd have to, yeah. But we have some time. So, yeah, so, yeah, but again, we have time, so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to postpone it to the 26th.
Second.
Okay, we got a proper motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Do I have time to go to to skip over to the roof from the historic development calendar year 20? So I mentioned this to Ruth and John last night. I'll give you, here's the letter that we got when we were awarded the funding for that grant. And it clearly says there, we were awarded $40,000 with a 16 match. But if you switch over on the back, beyond the letter, there's an email there from Christy Moore, my contact at the development office, that says we don't have to do a match. So there's no match required, so we get 100% reimbursed for that roof repair. So we don't have to spend that $16,000. So that's a plus. Not only that, she also mentioned to me that they found some more funding. So we're getting credited an additional $2,700. So, but that's still over the amount in the recommended bid from Tri-State, which I have those here again for your records. This is not only the change order that I got from Tri-State, but also the original proposal. And the original proposal came in at $68,621. So I did, as stated in that email, I requested an additional $12,621 to cover the additional costs over what we were granted. But given that we don't have a match and that they're giving us an additional
$2,700. Now it's $9,621. That request is in front of Randall Reed Smith so that they can allot extra funding if it's available. All that being said, we don't owe as much money in match on that project, which is good because you'll see the change order on the front of that.
Yeah.
Which came in for the canopy at $14,391. Before asbestos removal, I met with Empire Salvage yesterday. They took a sample. They're sending that off. Hopefully we'll have that this afternoon to determine whether or not we'll have to do the abatement for $3,100. So this basically comes out to 16, the 16 that we had matched already allocated. So, fill the whole back in. But again, we are waiting on that. I did reach out to Becky Kellum, the library. Thank you, Michelle. And she said that we would potentially have some funding in their FY22 budget, even if the county commission had to be reimbursed. We had the front end, they reimbursed us FY22. They have a board meeting on the 10th of April, which they can give us an answer at that time.
What's the difference between these two? I see this is for masonry cornice, brick repair, stone cornice, and then this estimate also mentions masonry.
The first one is for the brickwork that needs to be done.
And that's the one, this one, I think is the one that we're tabling until that other company gives you the bid, right?
Correct.
Yes.
And then we're going to compare its bid to the
No, this
masonry
is
and
the
this
one,
bid.
this is the roof and are they quoting the canopy?
They're quoting the canopy.
Canopy.
Right,
Okay.
we've already been.
So the canopy is in both of them, or was anyway.
Right, as of last week, I took the canopy out of the masonry. I didn't
I
think
see.
it made any sense to put the canopy
Okay.
work along with the masonry,
Okay.
the request for funding for masonry.
All right, thanks.
So since we're already having tri-state, well, a roofing contractor come out, that's why I asked them, would you mind looking at the canopy, since you're gonna be here anyways? And so there's their change order proposal. So yeah, definitely, and this is part of why I decided, let's get a bid from the masonry, because $14,391 was definitely over what the proposal that Dan Sneed gave us at $10,000 for the canopy.
Well, since a 2x4 costs you $8 right now, I can see the increase.
Yeah.
Plus there's several suppliers that are waiting to get merchandise in. It's just crazy, so.
So the proposal is here for your approval if you see fit.
Okay, so that's number 3.
That's number 3.
Okay.
I don't have a problem. You have any more questions, Ms. Taylor?
I don't.
So if we're waiting on a bid, do we want to wait on this 14,000 and just approve this so they can get going? Or do we have to approve them at the same time?
We don't have to prove them at the same time. That's just a change order for your reference.
Okay,
But the masonry work doesn't really, it's not in the same area as the canopy. The only reason the masonry is mentioned on here is because there have to be that counter flashing tie-in from the canopy to the brick.
so the tri-state roofing bid is the one we need to
Number 3.
approve
Yes.
yesterday.
Yeah, because,
I make a motion to approve the tri-state roofing bid.
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, help me here, Ruth.
It's just that one spot where her piggy little booty.
Firm owner be Fayette County.
Mhm.
I'll let you do that.
Yeah, you just put your,
John Henry there.
not Henry, but. Do we have a making start?
I didn't ask him when he was here on Wednesday, but
Okay, so
It's pretty.
Yeah, I'll convey.
3 is done. Hey, Michelle, just to clarify that, that was for the roof only. The canopy was not in that.
Okay,
So the canopy is on hold, just like any other change order would be.
okay.
Do we have time to go to item number 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
So we did issue a request for qualifications from qualified planning firms back in February. And here is the RFQ as it was advertised in the Register Herald. And here are the 2 bids that we got back in response. One from GIA Consulting, the articles, and one from WVU Land Use and Sustainable Development Clinic. Let's see, for WVU, their bid is on page, I feel like it's 6, 7.
7, you say 6, 7?
Yes, sir. They're more specified bid. They have one at the front there. There you go. Well, shoot, I got a little, hopefully in yours it's not all switched up on. And then GIA is the second to last page, but WVU's
Okay, I see that.
comes out, their base, $40,000 with a $17,240 additional cost. That's optional. And then GIA comes in at $79,000.
okay, so let's see. Okay, here we are.
$79,870.
Where are the options at here? Option, okay.
So, yeah, so the plan,
Youth workshops, training, open house, outdoor recreation. Outdoor recreation is 2,400. I can see that option.
right, they did say it was an à la carte. I spoke with these folks on Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday morning. And that the optional, you know, whatever you decide, take it or leave it. I did discuss with Angela and with John and Ruth. We didn't get a lot of bids, right? We only got 2. Maybe we should re-advertise, but we discussed that. But honestly, it feels like we're not gonna do much better than 40,000 base cost.
I definitely am not going to want to make a decision on this today. I want time to read this and go over it. And I think it's also, we need to, once we have our meeting about economic development, we need to see how it comports with each of these plans because, you know,
Yeah.
even the more expensive plan might actually be more consistent with what we need. We just don't know.
Yeah, we have to the end of the year, I believe, to get it finalized.
Get it finalized. I was trying to
How
shoot
long?
for October to have a draft. And yeah, that's kind of in line with what WVU had articulated. I don't feel like I got as strong of a schedule from GAI.
I think we got a little bit of time. I agree with you.
Yeah, I think we have a little bit of time. I was hoping by the end of March, we would have a decision so that we could.
Here's their timeline. Spring, summer, fall,
What page is it?
and winter, 5 from WVU.
It has to be December 31st, is that right? It has to be done by December 31st.
Yeah, finalize the plan. Has to be done by December.
I mean, I think we got time. Ms. Taylor, I agree with her.
Yeah, I think we got a couple weeks to do it.
What are our meeting dates in April?
9th and the 20th. Oh, I'm sorry.
Can we table it? I move to postpone this until the 20th.
A second.
Okay. We got a motion and a second to postpone until the 20th. All those in favor? Aye.
The only thing I'll say about that is if you have any thoughts about re-advertising, just to keep us somewhat on schedule.
I mean, if you think you might get more bids, go ahead. I mean,
Well, we might get more bids. Again, I'm not sure it's gonna be much more competitive than the lowest bid we got, but if you feel
We're
like,
not necessarily gonna go with the lowest bid. We're gonna go with the best
sure,
bid that meets our needs. So
sure, well,
if you think we could get more bids in, maybe bid it and close it before the end of the month, so we can have time to look at them before the
it'd
20th.
have to be a class two bid, so 2 weeks and then next commission schedule. I'm okay with not bidding it. I do feel like we got both of these firms have experience doing planning work in Fayette County. So I'm not sure, it's just considering that they've already got some work preliminarily done. We're not gonna be able to do that much better as far as both experience and price, but
On that, there is an option. I know that that's a lot of money. There is an option that it can be done in-house. I mean, you don't have to hire a firm.
Well, that was my
And-
question in the beginning,
I know
if
I
whether
did
we
not
needed a firm.
expect- I don't know if that's me, but I didn't expect the bid to be so much, because I think the last bid was only 10,000, so I looked up the code just to make sure. I mean, you could possibly, it's work, but the original comprehensive plan is like 600 pages.
Yeah.
The last update was only 40 pages. So all you're doing is going to the communities, finding out what they want. There are some things that have to be followed. You could possibly reach out to tech and see if they're marketing students. Is there an internship? I mean, money wise, that is an option. I mean, you could do it. It's just a lot of work. Buying all into work. So that's an option.
I like it.
If the bids are too much, I mean, it is, and it may be getting a couple
Well, yeah.
of helpers.
Oh, that
Well,
would
that's
be-
what I thought. We could even hire interns to help us, for Pete's sake. Kids who want, because it's about summer intern time, but to help us research and put these options together. But I've written strategic plans, and so that's why I asked in the beginning, like, I remember asking Gabe, I don't know why we're hiring somebody to do it. It's our plan.
Historically, the last comprehensive plan, what actually happened is Dave Pollard and Rachel, they conducted the meetings and then they gathered all their data. And then that's when they went and took all their data, all their meeting notes, and sent it to the firm for them to put it in the nice, pretty little 47-page review. So that's an option. I mean, I know budget's tough and we've got other issues. That may be an option. It is a lot of extra work. We may have to hire some people. But that's also
It would still be less of an expense than either
And
of
be
these
more
bids.
hands-on with the commission.
Exactly.
I believe. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do
I mean,
too.
that may be something, maybe, I know that Tech does have a marketing degree program, so I'm assuming they have students. Maybe something.
yeah, and like a public, they have a government, like a poli-sci / local government wing of what they do also. You reach out to them as well.
True. Well,
I didn't expect the bid to be that. I mean, like I said, last time it was only 10,000. So. But that was 10 years ago, so I guess people can know.
yeah, they can. I mean, I understand they have to make money. It's just, it's our plan. And if somebody else writes it, the ones I've read in the past really haven't seemed to comport with our needs, and yeah, I like the idea of trying to hire, recruit some people to help us work on it in-house.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that as an option.
And with NRG, RDA, and Region 4, could they be involved in it also?
Yes.
I've talked to Tom Hubble
Absolutely.
before, prior, they are more than, of course, they can't hire people, but they are more than willing to help conduct meetings. They're really good at technology stuff. I'm sure that they would be happy to be
I
involved.
feel like this is, I was going to bring up trying to schedule a special session for our strategic planning priority session that we had been discussing on email having, and we could just make this a part of that.
I agree.
And then we could, a workshop,
There you
and then
go.
discuss it all and decide how we want to proceed from there. We schedule that before the meeting on the 20th, would be fine. Thank you.
Okay, we are, okay, thanks, Gabe.
Sir, thank you all.
Thank you for the information that you handed out too. It makes it better for us to digest it.
Give you all the information you need. Thanks, Commissioner.
Okay, Number 7, future meetings. Okay. Really, we need to go on to our 9:30. Get ready to go to that. Fayette Trail Coalition, Holly and Peter.
It's my first time presenting. Am I supposed to come here?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay.
And, you know, people pull down their masks so that I can hear.
Okay,
Um, yeah, okay.
We're good.
So that's perfect.
Okay.
Welcome to the commission.
Thank you. Thank you for
We've
having
seen
me.
a lot of information on you coming from a lot of different people,
Sure.
so welcome to,
Good things.
Thank you.
yeah, good things too.
Thank you.
Nothing
Well,
bad.
my name is Holly Fussell, and Commissioner Lease, Commissioner Brenneman, Commissioner Taylor, thankful to be here. And I am somewhat new as a full-time resident to Fayette County, but I've owned property in town here and been a part-time resident, I like to call myself before, for over 15 years. So it's exciting to be here and be a part of the great work that Fayette County is doing, thanks to leadership in so many different areas of it, especially at your level. And to really be a part of what that future looks like for outdoor recreation, sustainable development. There's just so many exciting things going on. Part of that, you all know, and I think it's really important to your trails and what that looks like in different capacities. I know there's been talk of a hope for a comprehensive trail plan. And this, what I'm talking about on behalf of Fayette Trail Coalition today, is really, seen as that partnership with WVU and with Danny Twilley as sort of a pilot and a small chunk, a small possibility of what could be a larger plan, putting together the resources from WVU, but with some grassroots fundraising and seeing what those 4 areas that we're looking at with this professional expertise trail plan and how that can come to life and how that could be a model for other collaborations with trail design and implementation and economic development for the wider region. So I think trails are super important because we all know there's so many outdoor recreation opportunities in Fayetteville, but sometimes those sports can be extreme and hard for people to enter into, like there's an intensity of experience in going down the river or climbing a rock, but trails are that entry point and can be a transition into being outdoor enthusiasts and people recreating. And that's definitely a goal behind developing more of these trails, is giving more people that opportunity to step outside and enjoy the beauty and the nature that Fayette County provides. So I think the only ask today, we as an organization in partnership with WVU for this next step, is that we draw down on the fund promised from the County Commission in September of 2020, which was $1,000. And happy to take questions. Peter Kostes is here also with the professional trail building and trail design firm that has extensive experience in multiple areas, building world-class trails, but also creating plans that are very inclusive and thinking about a lot of different aspects of how trails fit into communities, build communities, and support other types of development.
Okay, Holly and Peter, we have 2 different distinct patterns here on trails. We have one like you guys do, which is just a track. I guess that's what you call it, because one person runs at a time. And then you have the rail trail one, where you could have like a couple riding together when you get to my age. Because I would never do any of those jumps, because
I don't do the jumps
it's
Don't worry.
it's crazy.
So these are bike trails that we're talking about?
Yeah, there's 2 different bike trails in Fayette County. I would love to
They're
see,
also hiking trails.
I would love to see the 2 come together and
Absolutely.
work as one, because then everybody's money can be used to leverage additional funds.
Absolutely.
There's just, I mean, yeah, we have 2 different trails, but we need to work together. And I would still really like to develop the racetrack, I guess is what you call it. Gene, Tom, you guys help me on this one, around Fayette County Park
Mhm.
that we discussed while we were out there in September. Had bringing in a race for bicycles
Mhm.
and using that area to develop the first one.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we've just got a lot going on. We have the new state park coming in. And I just think that overall, we would be better working as one instead of two trying to compete for what little bit of money is going to be out there this year. Every call that I'm on, either national or state, is saying that the regular grants that normally come out are going to be very slim due to the money coming out for COVID.
Mhm.
There's going to be a lot of people competing for it, just like the new one that's coming out of Kanawha County into Fayette County. I mean, that's going to be a multi-million-dollar one, but right now they're only going to be asking for, $400,000 to develop or to start doing developing. Then you have an NRGRDA that everyone says is one of the best written grants that they've seen. And it probably has the lead on taking care of all the money out there that's going to be given away. And then, some left after that grant. So if we could take both of these organizations, mold them into one, work through Region 4, WVU, and NRGRDA, we're probably going to get there faster than two different groups trying to work together to get things done.
Well, I absolutely hear your point. The need for collaboration and partnership is paramount if we're going to move forward as a community and as a county. I think there's various models you could look at between like merging the two, or maybe there's room for more than two. Maybe there's a plug and play model where there's the partners at that level, WVU and Region 4 and NRG RDA.
Yeah.
Got it all right. There's a partnership at that level, and then there's a level at which the plug and play organizations can do the specialty work that they can do. FTC does not ever have any illusions of grandeur that it could sit at that level and intermediate between big money and the local community. That's unrealistic. What we want to do is be an action or oriented organization that can help once there is a plan in place, that we can be the volunteer effort and the organizing effort to get those trails built from start to finish in a very efficient way and a fiscally responsible way. So far, I think the organization has had the work that we've been part of has had a good track record with being fiscally responsible and with getting action done on getting those trails to the place where they can get used and get walked on, people walk their dogs on them. They're not just biking trails. And that's not the vision at all, to be exclusive mountain biking. But I think partnership is definitely the way forward. What that looks like, I don't know.
Neither do I.
I think the biggest aspect of that would be the desire for that collaboration and partnership. And that definitely exists from my perspective and from the people that I'm connected with so far. And Peter can talk a little bit about just the scope of the work. I mean, the expertise that this group we're talking with and can bring to the table is pretty impressive. So hopefully Peter can just shed a little bit of light on that, but I'm here if there's more questions.
I got a question.
Sure.
I like to let everybody else go before me though. So they may ask
Well,
a question before I ask.
My question is of you. So how would this, we created a trail authority. How does an effort like this dovetail with the trail authority and the things that you've been working on with
I
Bill
think it
Wells
all-
and others?
I was going to get to that with Peter.
Okay.
The questions that I have right now is with the FTC.
Mhm.
And if you don't mind me putting that off to
I
Peter.
don't.
You mentioned economic development.
Mhm.
What does FTC see as economic development they have in mind with recreational infrastructure?
Well, that's a great question. Go
Well,
ahead.
I'd rather see,
Okay.
Peter,
Yeah, no
I'd rather
problem.
see what she and the FTC has in mind. You are a totally different scale than what they are. I want to see what their vision is.
Okay.
And then we'll get.
Sorry, thank you so much.
The immediate impact of this specific plan would be really to strengthen the county properties, the county aspect of like reviving and giving new life and new usership to the county park, and maybe even creating a revenue structure where people are paying to use the trails or paying to visit on that basis, with the heavy emphasis being on the county park. It's also the building up the recreational opportunities makes this a more attractive area. I know in talks with Active Southern West Virginia and with Jenna Belcher at NRG RDA, she says every potential company that's coming wants to consider Fayette County, they're asking about two things. Childcare, well, they're asking about three. Childcare, housing, we know those are big, and then recreation within 5 miles of that location site. So building out more of these trail opportunities gets Fayette County, at least in one of those categories, more.
Do you know where most of
desirable.
the trails are in Fayette County?
Most of them are in the Fayetteville and the park area,
Okay.
as I know right now, but I've got plenty to learn.
Yeah, but when you're talking about building up the economy, and you must be talking about Fayetteville and Oak Hill, Wolf Creek Park, right?
Well, Tom, or Commissioner Lewis.
Now, you can say Tom, I'm fine. I've been called a lot worse than Tom.
This, like I said, this is a tiny sliver of what could be possible. And Danny Twilley has affirmed that this is a small project. The big project that is on the horizon, and I think what the county wants is what you're talking about, is like a much bigger, how do we look at all of Fayette County? How do we elevate the various communities that don't have the recreation opportunities, that don't have the linkages to the park property?
So Fayetteville, and most of Fayetteville has a linkage to everything, right?
I don't know exactly what the question is, linkage to Fayette, the county park areas, or not county parks, but to the national park property? Is that your question?
You probably answered it correctly. I'm just wondering how the economic development you're talking about when Fayetteville doesn't have any more room for growth, in my opinion, I may be wrong.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other areas of the county that has growth. I'm looking to spend the county and everybody to spend money to get economic development. But what I'm trying to get at is other businesses that have a tax-based revenue that helps the county
Sure.
or pays taxes, property taxes, the highest base taxes in Fayetteville. Did you know that? It's the highest.
Mm-hmm.
Oak Hill's second highest. The rest of the county is really low. It's like the revenue that Fayetteville has is $4.4 million. Oak Hill's 5.2. The rest of them are way down.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and I don't think Fayetteville wants to grow anymore as far as development, from what I understand. Are they wanting to build anything else?
Is Sharon on the, she usually calls in.
And you can get on her. She's always in on these.
But
what I'm just trying to say is what I'm
sure.
looking at is a development, a recreational development project that brings assets to bring revenue to the county. And this gentleman right here, I guarantee you, he knows what I'm talking about. It's not just about trails.
Sure.
It's about trails and development, in my opinion. I think Jenna has the same outlook.
Absolutely.
So I was just asking what's your development plan, not Peter's,
Sure.
what the
But back to
the
my point.
FTC see.
Yeah,
What they
FTC
see
is
is how it would bring us revenue if you're just talking about these 4 areas.
Sure, and I'll come back to 2 points, and one is FTC is a very small, all volunteer-led organization. Nobody's getting a dime for I'm here just out of the goodness of my heart and my desire to create positive places for the kids my kids go to school with to run around and play, or on and on, develop, world-class athletes out of this area that this region has every reason to have world-class outdoor athletes coming out of it. But there are certain roadblocks to that. All that to say, FTC is just a small volunteer-led organization that is not purporting to have all those answers.
Well, I mean,
those
but your
questions are-
advertisement, you're advertising it right here. Right here, you even said economic development, and I thought maybe you had a plan for economic development or
The
growth.
plan would be to partner with organizations like NRG, RDA that have that larger plan. And when that crystallizes into a more comprehensive plan, we want to be a part of that and support it.
Okay,
we would be-
that makes better sense.
Too grandiose to say that we, as a small trail advocacy group that gets out and, cuts trees out of the way to make way for a hiker. That's not to say we have all those answers, but we
Okay.
want to be a part of and collaborate and partner.
Okay, I understand that. That's good.
Okay.
I've been looking forward to your conversation.
Okay, good. I have too.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Glad.
much. And really thank you for the opportunity to speak to you folks today. My name is Peter Kostes, and I am a representative of Applied Trails Research. You folks probably don't know a lot about me. I don't know if the proposal was ever shared with you folks.
I looked you up.
Oh, you did? Okay, good. So you had- yeah.
He's been in our position before.
Yeah,
actually.
I still am. I am
Are you?
I'm third term city council member I hail from Athens, Ohio. So I serve on the city council. I'm also a business person. I owned a bicycle shop for 22 years. The most important thing to take away from this short introduction was 5 years ago, I led a community-driven initiative in my area, and we hired ATR to be the group that came in to do the same planning process. So I can't say that I can predict the future, but I can kind of say where we're at right now with that project. Having Jeremy Wimpy, who's the lead on this, he's the trail designer. As you can see, I didn't say I had any trail design experience. It's more about community engagement and understanding, what assets are here, whether it's people and your properties and how they lay on the land and what kind of opportunities you folks have. And then it's looking at the low hanging fruit. So it is looking for the least amount of investment, but the maximum amount of return on your properties.
Maximum return.
And so that's what this whole process and this plan is. We're not there yet. This is more of an introduction just to let you folks know what's happening and what you're going to see in the coming months. Jeremy was on the ground all this week along with myself. I was visiting with people and having the ability to really kind of understand the current landscape. And so what you were speaking to right off the bat is very easily identifiable. And I did even, I reached out to the Trails Alliance and had a good conversation with their lead. So I think, what we're looking at, for me, and I can't speak for FTC. What I would like to see this document do is not only deliver something that is a plan that people can look at and say, yes, this is something that is going to provide value to our communities, to our residents. And it's also going to check some of the boxes on some of the things that are coming down the pipe right now that are impacting your county that you don't necessarily have all the answers to just yet. So it isn't just designing mountain bike trails. These are trails that apply to the larger community. And so and each parcel is going to have a different design and thought process to it, so that, for example, when you look at Town Park, it's a very small parcel. So it's something that would be designed specifically for kids to get youth involved, get them out exercising and kind of thinking about, being in the outdoors. And it's going back to my business background. It's that interface with the customer, the trail user, to make sure that person when they get out of the car, they see the signage, they see, there might be a bench there if they need it. It's all these different little elements that really kind of help maximize the experience so that when someone comes here and they step out of their car, they don't run into any negative type situations, whether it's a muddy trail, whether it's something that's really steep and they slip and fall. So this is all part of the design that Jeremy and Scott Lindenberg will be doing here. They've done it around the country for decades. And what it does is this type of design is just not, it's not done everywhere. You think about the Park Service, you think about, National Forest, a lot of these trails were put in decades ago when people really weren't thinking about this stuff. So what it does is it gives you an experience that these people will come in. There's a benefit to a larger population because they get to interface with all these different trails and not run into these issues. But at the same time, when you compare yourself to, another trail system, say like Kanawha State Forest or something like that, they just don't have the thought and the deliverable product that you folks would have. So it really kind of puts you head and shoulders above, your competition. And so.
Really, I don't think we have any competition.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm gonna recommend to you is working with the Mountain State Trail Alliance, working with the Trail Authority, and working with, I gotta write it down because I can't remember it like she did.
Oh, yeah.
NRGRDA.
Yeah.
So really, if everybody works together on a total recreational plan, I think it would be better.
Well, that's a great point, but that's gonna cost a lot more money that nobody is willing yet to roger up to. So that's an awesome point, but what's that next step look like in budgeting for that, and like how much do we all want in the game? Am I correct?
The other thing I want to talk about is so we've been hired by, the West Virginia. Now I'm going to get my acronyms. It's ODRC. OEDC. I'm sorry. So we, this part of this plan is being funded by WVU. Part of it is coming forward from dollars from the community that they have fundraised. And so this is, and we're looking at public property that, to make this suggestive plan on. And so this is a public document. This is something that could be taken and folded into the Trails Alliance. It could, so it's not, what I see is this is, at this point, these two groups are working in parallel to achieve the same thing. And I believe that what we will see in the future, just based on the discussions that I've had this week, we all work better as a collective community. And so, and this is where I'm kind of speaking out of my realm. I think that's, you need to hear that out.
Sure. I think that's absolutely the design, and the goal is to work collaboratively. And I think, Tom, your idea is a fabulous one. Having that comprehensive plan that can include those different players and prioritizing what the whole county would like to see. But I'm certainly naive about this because it's my first time.
Basically, what you're saying is the only concern you have right now is what you was talking about. It's not an overall plan. There's not enough money there for the overall plan.
Not right now. What we would
Right
love
now.
that. We don't have it. I don't think the county wants
No,
to.
good.
But we would love for that. That's the.
Have you asked anybody what kind of funds are out there or going to be generated that's going to be available for, not from WVU?
Correct.
Well, it'd be great. I know Andy Davis is on, and I don't know if Jenna Beltler is, but they're a little much more savvy and aware about possibilities for.
And I will also mention,
Opportunities.
just looking at the list there, Scott Lindenberger, he's in Colorado right now. He's the third member on the team, and he's the one that really knows about the funding streams and things like that. So there, not only is this a development of this plan, but this is also something to look at the club and really bring them up to speed on, say like membership, fundraising, grant opportunities. So this is not just looking at a plan, but it's also kind of, starting to accelerate the capacity of what this group can do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want, what I was trying to get at you, I don't think I want to throw out that there's not enough money. We don't even know how much is there. We don't even know what it's going to cost. We don't know where the assets, well, I think I know where some recreational assets are, but my view sometimes is a moot point. But anyway, I think there may be, let's look at the big picture. And the big picture is too much. We do it in a 2, 3, 4, 5 year, 10-year plan. But I mean, if it's too much, we scale it down. And that's just the way I feel about it. That's just it.
And when it comes to funding, that's the way it usually shakes. I'm sure a lot of people in the trail community would love to see this stuff built out like a highway. $5 million, you're good to go. You're doing it for 3 years, and that's I think that's what people are working towards in the trail community. But no, right now you have additional plans. Like, so you look at like this new one that just came out as I was doing my research, this River City. So this is what Montgomery and Smithers.
Yes.
So this is something that can get folded into the Trail Alliance, and it's additional documents that you can take and pile into your grant application and say, look, this is what this area, this region of the county is thinking about. This is what the Trails Coalition is looking at. This is what Trail Alliance is looking at. What are the good projects here that float to the top? And I think that's probably as future, as we go forward into the future, there's going to have to be some sort of ranking or rating system to try to figure out, okay.
And to me, you're going to have to use also in this, does this bring any extra revenue to the county?
Yeah.
Does this bring assets to the county to bring revenue?
Yeah.
And what does and what doesn't, what the cost is. There's a fine line. I think you understand this.
Yeah.
I think you understand this.
Yeah.
So I don't have, I think you understand it, and you know where I'm coming from.
I'm trying my best.
No, I think you do. I think you got it.
Okay.
All right, we're almost getting to the end. Holly, the office needs to have,
A W-9. Can you go by Amy? I'll prep one. Make sure I have one.
Okay.
Amy has one, you just fill it out and then you write that.
Okay, thank you. Well, this has been a pleasure, and I hope it's not the last time I see y'all. But-
no, I mean, you're welcome back in to get back on our agenda at any time. I think that all three of us wants to see economic development, and the trails seem to be the first way to go with it. Allison, do you have anything else to add?
I don't at this
I'm
time.
sorry, Ms. Taylor, I may not have answered your question.
Well, I just don't like to see duplication of effort. So my concern is that everybody is coordinating, because we have so many people working on trails initiatives that I don't want to see, us, I want to see what you're doing as part of the overall plan rather than a duplication of anything in it.
Absolutely.
Can I answer that
Sure.
question? Just at least a comment.
comment.
Yes. And really what we're looking at is that from my understanding, we're looking at two different types of trails, which is what Commissioner, Brennan.
Just John.
Yeah, John. Okay, thank you. Is, you're looking at rail trails, which serve a different population. They connect communities. It's something that you can take a,
Connect recreational development,
Exactly.
other recreational hotspots or developments also.
And so that's, these trails, Jeremy Wimpy is looking at that. And so it's not like we're trying to say, oh, we're gonna design the same thing. It is looking at something that is in partnership and provides additional enhancement to these additional plans. You have two great groups that are doing good things. And I'm really excited to see the community really jumping up and trying to provide some service to the county.
Just for grins and giggles, is there any data that shows what, let's say, a family comes in that rides tracks, how much money that they spend while they're in town?
Goodness, I just saw that. So, it depends on whether they stay overnight or not. If they don't, if they just come in for the day and leave, it's small, $15, $20. They might have a lunch or something like that. That's per person. Overnight, you go into the mid hundreds. So that's where the recreational. So it's always, I'm sure your county visitor bureau is always saying heads and beds. That's the goal, so it's always trying to if you provide enough trail assets. So if you have enough mileage, and it's usually if you go over 25 miles of trail, that's when people say, oh, I need to stay because I need to hit, different sections or do more mileage. 'Cause I
Okay.
can't do it all in a day.
On that note, there's been a study done not too long ago about the impact of climbing on the economy in Fayette County. And I could share that study with you, but it talks about similar things about the overnight and how much they're spending in restaurants and lodging and elsewhere. I don't have the numbers on the top of my head, but there is economic impact and putting exactly what Peter said, the more density there is, the more trail availability in one area, it will be a draw. I've heard mountain bikers say that if they can come and do everything in a day, they don't come back. But if they come and they can't get it all, or there's levels of challenge or whatnot, that draws them to return from out of town, from metropolitan areas. And
So if a family would come in and they would do a track, and then there was a rail trail to take them to another, let's say it was rock climbing, and then there was a rail trail that tied them into another track, and then there was a rail trail that tied them into motorized ATVs or side-by-sides. I mean, that would be key for our area.
sure.
And that's why I see the tracks and the rail trails really working together to get everything there.
Well, and I think you may have noticed that since we're not talking just about bike tracks, that our trailheads are very small in a lot of areas, and that we probably need to look at some transportation system to get people to those trailheads so they're not congested and they can find a
Like from
place
a
to park.
centralized parking
Mhm.
place. Mhm.
Park and ride, something like that.
Like ski places do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they do in other national Moab and other national parks.
Mhm.
That's something that, I think we need to consider. I don't think we have that problem in the ones that you've listed here, but it's just something that has been on my mind.
Mhm.
I've talked to people.
Yeah, and I think that's only gonna increase this
Right.
summer as we get spring working.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you for your time. I know you're busy.
Perfect, and thank you so much. We have, if anybody needs to get in touch either with me, I know I left my number on the sign-in, and then I can also put you in touch with Jeremy Winfrey if you have specific questions about the parcels or comment, what you've seen, because you folks have been here for so long.
Have you got a card or anything, or you just put your number down?
I did, yeah. I don't-
Okay,
I
your
don't-
number's on the sheet?
Correct,
Okay.
Yeah, that way you can get it.
I have his, I'll text it to you.
All right,
He
thank
told me
you.
last night.
Okay, good. Holly, don't forget to go by the office and get that W-9.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So do we need to move $1,000?
No, it's already been approved back in September.
Okay. Just said to draw down on it, so I guess.
Yeah. Okay, perfect timing, Miss Angela. Oh, you guys need to take a break first?
I may need to.
Yeah.
Okay. Good
You
morning,
want me to send
Anthony.
his contact to you too?
We're doing good. We're taking a break.
Do you want Peter's contact?
You want his, yeah, please.
Man, y'all got my phone blocked in here? I think you're blocking my phones.
Turn the Wi-Fi off.
I don't use Wi-Fi.
You don't have Wi-Fi turned on?
No.
Because when I have my Wi-Fi turned on, I can't.
At least
I have
somebody's got to hold my phone and turn it on. Let me go.
Somebody got a hold of your phone. Yeah, it was my mind. Turn it on. candy. You bring us some of that hard candy.
What's
in?
that, Dee?
There's a whole, there's a whole.
Bowls are back there.
Oh, it's over there.
They need the bowls.
Oh,
Right behind you.
Thanks, Angela. Oh, did you get it? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know where, it would be in your office. but that's
That'll work.
fine. I'm from the state, so.
Okay, good. I don't have any idea where Kelvin.
Oh.
Me.
I don't know where it was at. Yeah. I just kept in my email because I figured nothing else I always have.
We're
I
gonna get
talked to
them
Randy
recorded.
yesterday. And he is going to, they're supposed to have a meeting next week. So he'll present both of them, get them out there to do a estimate for us. And then we'll go from there.
Okay, we're gonna meet with the coal company Monday to just look at the different places and find the best, you know.
And you told them it was going to be from both areas.
Yeah, we told them it was from Fourth Street all the way to the Raleigh County line, so yeah, they know it's whatever. They don't care, I mean, they own thousands of acres.
Okay,
And they're
Good.
really, they moved all of their offices into packs. They used to have 14 offices throughout West Virginia, they're all in packs.
well, I know they applied for new license.
Mhm.
Because I sent that to everybody. Morning, Gene. Gene, the dancing machine. Are you still wore out from your trip?
No, I was never worn out for that trip.
It was just a relaxing time, huh?
Yeah, it was great.
Cool.
And,
Mr. Chief Deputy back here on his phone.
Sir.
And I sent an email to John Tuggle and Leslie, if you guys opted to go in-house. So I get a response from them.
Okay, so you've already talked to him about that.
I
Good.
talked to them a long time ago, but I
Yeah,
just sent them a message to say, hey,
I've
what
got,
James
se-
offers.
I've got several meetings with them next week over PSDs, so.
I think we're having our state inspection for our PSD next week.
Rod,
Sir,
how you doing?
it's Friday.
It's Friday. You're happy, aren't you?
It don't mean much.
Another day that ends in Y, is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, I take calls 7 days a week anymore.
I do too. 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and then, you know, what's bad is you go out to dinner with your family and the phone rings like 20 times.
I've left him several times.
That's the zone map I told you.
And then you get back in your car and the phone doesn't ring at all.
That's the whole county.
Okay.
And you get these looks. You say like, sorry, I can't control that.
Sometimes when you want it to ring, it never does.
Yeah. Most inconvenient times ever. You're making that wallpaper. Oh, man. There's a step down, John. Oh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
What's better than the rain?
Rod, how's the water quality down your way? Okay. You know, we're working on that, right? I don't know either.
Oh, look, I just found your. I did, I was just,
Hello, Amy.
Hello. I'm moving this to my computer instead of my phone.
Thank you, Shell. worker yesterday. Did she enjoy?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, thank you.
Bigger buckets.
Good. I know it was smelling all over the courthouse. Everybody's
Can I
saying,
get some water?
man, that's a smell.
I don't want some water.
No, no.
That's good.
Not running back and forth today.
You start from start, potatoes and macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, it smelled really good though
Yeah,
when I left.
she was very pleased and I thought it was a nice way
The
for us
chat.
to.
Yes, it was extremely nice. You had your people at your home. It matters. They'll remember that. Okay, is this your discussion?
No, I'm waiting on Mr. Edward.
Oh, that's y'all's discussion.
I'm just waiting on her anyway.
Oh, that's your discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want me up here, Tom?
yeah, when we start, but we gotta wait on Allison to come back. Allison is,
I gotta get rid of this candy in my mouth.
oh, yes, because the floor over there to the memorial building.
Where's it leaking into? I mean,
Have you gone over there, Rod?
On the,
Have you gone over the memorial building?
No, it's been on it for a while.
when you look at the stage and you go to the right of the stage where the big garage doors
Uh-huh.
are, it's right
Leaking back,
there.
the rubber roof on.
Thank you.
The rubber split.
Yeah,
Sonny and Ricky were there all night.
so it's bad.
It's not an extra. Keep me from getting up.
But they had a little redneck.
Looks like
ingenuity.
here's an extra.
And Rick summed it up, so.
Hey, yeah, I meant to tell you this, the commission brought up here, too, pull back.
Don't tell us about anything else that broke.
It's nothing bad.
Okay.
Yay.
You know, as long as you don't tell us it's like the elevator expense, $69,000 to fix an elevator.
Really mean.
DHS has a preparedness grant up there right now. The application's in May. It's for urban areas, it's for operation. State garden grants, state homeland security program grants, emergency management grants, and there's millions of dollars. And,
Yeah, the email.
I do, I'll send it to you. And things that we qualify under as a county seat, I mean, there's 650 million for each qualification.
We got a little bit of time. Hey, Rod, while you're sitting here, what's your thought on the current situation of the automobile maintenance? Do you think it needs to be looked for elsewhere?
What you run into is, I mean, to be honest with you, if it's something major, they sort it out anyway. And for like oil changes and brakes and stuff like that, and tires and stuff, I think. One thing you gotta think about too, when can they work on these cars is when the guys want to take it off. What they normally do, help them get up, take it down to the park, fix it, and then make it come back to their house, where one thing, it don't cost me no overtime. And another thing is it's convenient. Now, if it's something major, like transmissions, engines, stuff like that, they sort it out anyway. So I think if you contract it out, it's bad.
Are you satisfied with the work that happens down there?
I will be honest with you, you pay for what you get.
You get what you pay for.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I mean, you know, the guys down there, they do what they do, if that makes sense. They got the equipment down there that they can do some stuff, but, I'm not attacking their integrity or anything, but I'll know they, what they do. That makes sense. But, I think it's convenient for how we have it set up, but I think there could be some more. I don't know what they make down there an hour. I don't know who will apply for this like jobs down there. I mean, have you ever had anybody that's AI certified or no?
No, the county can't afford to pay that.
Right.
Oh, Ruth,
No, but what about training?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. We send somebody to training, we get them trained up, we pay them what we can afford, and they go somewhere and double that.
I agree.
I think, I'll be honest with you, I think if you started contracting this stuff out, because how can a mechanic garage, sorry, this is a set rate for this one job, every job's different.
I don't think so.
So I think that the numbers will be astronomical. Because if you guys, a person, so you take your vehicle up to, say, Seattle Tony's or John Davis to get the oil change, you're gonna pay $50, $60, right? Depends on what type of vehicle you have, and how many quarts of oil it takes. I know down at the park, they buy the bulk, which is 55 gallons of oil, synthetic oil, and it's so much cheaper.
Okay,
So when you start out, sorting it out, it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be bad.
thank you for your input.
I don't know if you feel the same way or not.
Well, we gotta see what the figures are to start. I mean, I'd just like to see what somebody would do it for. I mean, just to see.
Text Allison and see.
So I'll be honest with you, I think it's gonna be hard for a garage to do that.
That's how they make their money.
Yeah, I mean, do they got a flat rate? Yeah, they probably do for man hours, but. But I believe in the next year or two that we'll be pretty good on our vehicle fleet. It helps on our costs.
Yeah,
Well, that's what I wanted to see. Nobody's brought it here yet. I think I
We
asked to
haven't.
see what it's changed in the new vehicles that we've got, if it's changed any.
oh, yeah, I know what you're
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Just to
yeah,
see.
yeah.
And I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Ruth,
I'd say it's really, really a bit different than it has in 5 years.
the 26, did you say that there's room enough to fit Bill Wells on there for 15 minutes?
Yeah, because I think we can pretty well knock out the budget today.
Fit him on what?
Okay, yeah.
You wanna add Bill Wells?
Yeah,
Candy,
26.
candy,
Oh.
Candy.
Well,
Thank you.
Sugar.
something happened in the
Mhm.
grants
Talk a
and
little bit
everything, and we're
louder.
gonna talk about that and maybe send a letter in support.
See, I contribute to
Well,
it. Those are good. That's what I got.
Okay.
Now.
Okay, I just had to say it, so I'd forget, because I was gonna talk about it.
Well, I will too.
Hey, John, I got one more thing to add. I don't know if you're aware of it. The lines and the tires are state bid anyway.
What are we talking about?
The alignments on the vehicles and the tires are state bid anyway. There's a flat rate.
Hey,
Yeah, but we may be able to
Hey,
beat
just
that
email-
flat
I'm
rate.
in a meeting right now. Can you just text me
Are
and
we
I'll
talking
text
about
you
we
the
might
back?
garage
check
idea?
Yeah.
That's
I
okay.
Yeah,
thought
I
that
asked
was-
Rod his
I know
input,
those numbers.
get from him,
Oh, man.
and he said that,
Okay. That is
he
good.
said that,
I was just commiserating with them.
the oil changes and stuff that they do is good because there's not a charge for labor. Well, it sort of is. We pay their salary. Okay.
They also work in the front when they're not.
All right, everybody, sorry for the little break, but I mean, we all have to go from time to time. So let's get started. Our number 10 or 10 o'clock discussion is discussion of housing zoning, development and general zoning in Fayette County. So Tom,
Come on up, Angela.
Angela,
Basically, what I want to do is bring Angela in so she can go over the procedures of zoning requests.
okay,
Just so we got an overview of it. And sometimes it's confusing, and
Yeah, thanks for doing that.
especially before the 29th.
Mhm.
So the simplest zoning, of course, everybody knows we have
I've got Route 19 meeting.
this 20.
That's what I was talking about.
the 29th, right?
I want her to go over this before the 29th.
Yeah.
I thought you said the 21st. That's
Oh,
what I
okay.
said.
No,
Okay.
the 21st.
I'm not doing that.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right, so basically, real quick, the whole county was zoned back in the 60s, and then, of course, we updated it. So if you own a piece of property, you have to either call me or go on the county's website to see what your zone is. Our book's online, so you can look, it says what you can do, what you have to get a special permit for, which under state code is a conditional use. So if you have a special use, you have one hearing you have to go to in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Basically, you present your plan, your water and sewer, and then the board, it's a 5-member board, they approve your request. They can put conditions on it. They can deny it. You pretty much have 180 days for your plan to go into action.
Now, a plan is not necessarily a whole
It
It
is
could be a summary or,
it can be a summary. It basically, the Board of Zoning Appeals wants to know what you're gonna do on that property. You know, if it's a restaurant, what kind of food are you serving? How many people do you think you're gonna have? What's your traffic pattern? Have you talked to the Division of Highways? It doesn't have to be your financial plan that you give to a bank. I mean, a general overview of what type of business you want on the property. So that's the real simplest zoning that we have. Now, the more complex zoning is the one that you have to be rezoned. So if you, for example, live in an area that's rural residential and you want to open up a business, you're probably going to have to be rezoned B2 or B3. It's all listed in the book on what type of business you want, what your zoning would be. That you have 2 different hearings. You have to do the same thing. You have to come up with a plan, your business plan, name of your business, what you want. It doesn't, we've had some that are 200 pages, and we have some that are 10 pages. But during that, you come up with your plan, you have to have your water and your sewer infrastructure, because we want to know that there's gonna be water and sewer on the property. You have to give us the names and addresses of your neighbors. And then that plan actually gets sent up to the 3rd floor for a review. They look at your plan, and then they take the comprehensive plan and make sure it matches in that area. So if you want to build something in the valley, they look at what the people in the valley wanted for a business and make sure it kind of fits in their vision of their community. That's not a make or break. Go ahead.
Okay, you said they bring in their business plan.
Yes.
I would like to know who's qualified to look at a business plan in our county and who can give the data or the information to that prospective business owner, give them suggested ideas so that business plan can be changed to make them successful.
Currently, it used to be there was a transition team. Fayette County used to have a transition team. It was, of course, another board. And within that board, there were supposed to be people that had business experience. Now, currently, it's the resource coordinator's office that reviews that business plan. They're reviewing it not for making sure they have a good business, but more to make sure that their business fits in line with a comprehensive plan.
or US Route 19.
Or US Route
Excuse
19,
me,
if it is on, yes.
Yeah,
you are
US
correct.
Route, yeah, that's what their objective really is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if we don't have anybody that's a college graduate that does nothing but reviews business plans, why do we even ask for that?
It's historical.
It's hysterical.
The only
is
thing
what
the
it is.
state code, and as far as our code, it just asks for the type of business. I mean, they just need to know the type of business, the traffic. I mean, those are your main concerns.
Well, but me as hypothetically coming into the county to want to start a business, I'm going to make helmets that has a ponytail place for girls that's riding skateboards or bicycles or snowboards or anything else. And you tell me that I need to have a business plan and I hire someone to write a business plan, then I'm going to expect input.
Right.
And we're not going to have that here.
It goes through, but there are simple business plans. When I say a business plan, it doesn't have to, and we have a 1-page business plan. We have a guy right now that wants to put a campground down in the valley, and he's an older gentleman, and he asked me, how do I do a business plan? It doesn't have, the code doesn't say it has to be very specific. You just basically need to know.
We have the West Virginia Hive and those organizations that are designed for that to help people with business plan, I think. Isn't that what they do?
Yes, they
Right.
do.
So just,
But this is specific to the county and
here's what our code says. Let me just read you the pinpoint items that needs to be: a site plan, the exact location of your structure, the number of employees you're going to have, how high your structure is going to be, if you're going to have any buffers as far as screening, any location of stormwater, signature of the applicant, any type of draining plan, approved West Virginia Division of Highways permit, and any other information that's pertained to the business. So,
okay, well, let's go over that.
Is
Okay.
that our
Streams.
county code or
that is
our
our
state
county
code?
code.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is stuff that can be revised.
Yes, this is our UDC, and anytime that you guys feel, or the public could call me up and say, I just don't like this. I would have to go to the planning commission and amend it. That is what state code says you have to do. Now, of course, we can't every other day have someone call in saying, I don't like this wording. I mean, it is, yeah, but this can be amended. The Unified Development Code can be amended, things added to it, things taken away, and you can do that at any point in time. It's not a yearly, it's a hearing. I mean, what would happen is if you wanted to change what needed to be, I would come to you guys, you would approve it, it would go to the commission, they would make a recommendation to amend it, and then it would come back to you guys ultimately to make that final decision to amend it. And that part is state code, how it works to amend.
Kind of like the Route 19.
It's the
quarter
exact
mile.
same because you're amending what's in here.
So, I mean, I already think just based on the feedback I got before I was elected and since that it needs to be amended. It needs to be updated.
Right.
I mean, I already believe that. And I'd be really interested in hearing which parts of it you think are archaic and need to be updated.
Right.
In addition to, obviously soliciting public comment, but that's something the UDC, I think, has become an impediment in ways that it doesn't have to be.
There are some, things change. I mean, this was written in 2000, and if you look at even the 1968 Fayette County, zoning ordinance, it changes, and that's things, as times change, state programs change. I mean, there are things that need to be changed and updated, and
And one of my points, I don't mean to interrupt
you
you.
go right ahead.
One of my points was that, and I'm going to go ahead and get out at the end of what my point was in this, is the US Route 19 Corridor Management Plan is a stringent, or the right word I'm using, for development. And then we got the UDC code and rezoning. In my opinion, if we just go with the UDC and the rezoning and do away with US Route 19 Corridor Management Plan, there's still guidelines that are there that people just can't go out and build what they want to build. So it would give people the more opportunity of wanting to try to rezone than to let them go through this or difficult process and expensive process to be turned down anyway. The rezoning process is $100 or $200. What does it cost?
So an application to be rezoned is $100 from the county. That cover, and basically the $100 is covering our advertising fees, because we have to place it in the paper, we have to send notices to the neighbor. You also have to get a permit from the Division of Highways for curb cuts. I don't know how much that permit is. So for a rezoning, you're really, the property owner is probably, a couple $100 of finding out if they can rezone.
And then no matter what, if the rezoning is turned down, if I'm wrong, Angela, because it's going back and forth and everything, if it is turned down, no matter whether it's approved or turned down, it comes before the commission, and the commission's got the final say whether to approve it or deny. Is that correct, Anthony?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, basically what's going to happen is, and just like the Route 19, when we meet with the planning commission, they are going to either accept to change it or deny it. And then what happens is I get on your guys' agenda, and it's April something, I can't remember right off the top, but then I come to you guys and say, the planning commission has accepted to deny the request to amend. And then I'm assuming you guys can accept their denial or reject it, correct?
That's my reading of the code.
Okay.
So yeah, you guys do have,
You have to work with, there's an interplay between the planning commission and the county commission, but the way I read the code is when you get to the very end, I believe the code gives the county commission the final say.
That's what I read too. Yeah.
yeah, and that's how historically it's been. So you guys do have the ultimate decision on that. You take into their consideration because there are 14 board members, so.
And see that, in my opinion, the US, don't mean to interrupt you.
That's true.
The US Route 19 Corridor Management Plan is such a process that the zoning regulations and the UDC would just as well do as, the county commission still has authorization to deny it or approve it. And just going with the UDC and doing away with the US Route 19 Management Plan is my opinion. And that's why I wanted her to explain to you, there's still stipulations in here for rezoning and developing.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal and the quick, I mean, the book, like, the thing's 400 pages, so we memorize it. But the ultimate goal is when a business comes into Fayette County, we want to make sure that the people in that community would like that type of business. Because they're the ones going to eat there, play there, whatever. So that's the whole goal of the zoning and the comprehensive, is to make sure that it fits in the community. I mean, that's the ultimate. You know, a lot of the zoning is, you know, making sure the stormwater and parking and handicap, those things. But there are, like I said, things have changed, times have changed, so.
Well, I don't have a lot of details on it, but I like the sound of it, and I might even try to get her on the agenda. But you guys remember Jenna Grayson from the Generation New River Gorge, the group of young people who were trying to retain, and she came in and asked for the bridge, or for the Earth Day permit. Anyway, she has a background in, she's applying actually for a position with NRGRDA, and I hope she gets it because she has a background in economic development and grant application and funding and stuff like that. But she had an idea about having some kind of housing commission, residential housing commission, to kind of match people with housing opportunities and things like that, and help them you know, get their funding together or whatever. But then I was thinking similarly, you know, if we had something for business as well, you know, that could do that, or at least if we had somebody, our resource coordinator's office, somebody to coordinate these resources, have them available to anybody who wants a packet, for anybody who wants to come in and open a business or open a, you know, or find a home here, develop housing. But I asked her about it, and I'm going to learn more from her, and then I'll probably get her on the agenda and have her come in with that idea. But I think we do need those sorts of things, because we have kind of a mass influx of people right now.
Yes.
And we want to be able to accommodate them as well as we can. And we want our things together, like our initiatives and the maps and the recreational plan and things, so they understand what's coming, what's already here, and where they can get support, you know, in areas where we as a commission, when we want to have a business that wants to come in, we may be willing to facilitate grant applications depending on what that business is and where it's going. So,
And, you know, like I said, I mean, the business, I mean, I'm meeting with a company Monday, you know, I mean, they gave me a business plan, you know, and they're going to bring up a business that's probably going to, you know, do some good stuff. But, you know, it's very simple, a lot of it. But I understand, you know, there is no set standard on what has to be in the business plan. It's very vague. I mean, it is very, I don't know if the state set that up as far as, you know, for zoning. But it would help if some of these people that are smaller businesses, if they did have to go through the rezoning or even a special use, they may not know what to put in it. Other than
what if we ask them the questions we want the answers to that'll help us make a decision, instead of let them hope that they put it in there
I tried
the first time?
The last couple of businesses, they're like, what am I supposed to put in it? And I tell them, you know, how many people are you going to have? You know, cover your safety issues.
Give
Cover
them a
the
questionnaire.
questions. Right. And I mean, that's something that maybe we could get, you know, the younger people to ask what other, because banks need business plans. So if you plan to go to the bank, so
Just about 129 questions.
just,
Right.
and that, like I said, that is something that was
Stuff that
created.
makes sense, right?
Right. So, I mean, it sounds cumbersome for businesses, but I'll try to work with them as best as possible, because, you know, we need businesses here. I mean, we haven't had, if you look at our zoning applications, 90% of our special uses are single wide mobile homes. I mean, to be honest, there are people that live on the property. You do have to go through zoning to put a single.
I'm proposing that we schedule a special meeting soon to start discussing economic development, our strategic plan, and our priorities. And we've all kind of discussed on email that we want to do that. And I think I included you on it, didn't I? If I didn't, I meant to. But anyway, to get all the people together, the NRGRDA, the Region 4 people, and come up with some ideas. First, the commissioners are going to gather, and then we're going to gather some more people and figure out how we're going to execute the plan that we come up with. And it may require, you know, smaller workshops and maybe region-based workshops, but I'd definitely like you to be involved in that. And we'll figure out what kind of help you need to get businesses, you know, to help these businesses come along. If we need to put them in touch with the Hive people, or what we need to do.
Several businesses just in the last month, and all of them are tourism. I mean, all the applicants that are wanting to, you know, do something are all
Will you give us some
tourism
examples?
based. Huh?
Will you give us some examples? You don't have to name the
Oh,
business.
no, I mean, there's some, it's public, and there's somebody who wants to put a drive-in theater. There is a place working on a ATV like tours. We've got a gentleman down, he wants to put a campground on his property. He lives down in the Deepwater area. And then there's another lady who wants to do glamping, which is high-end tent camping. So all of them do, except with the drive-in, all of them do require.
I don't
rezoning.
glamp. John might glamp.
Each
I don't
tent
glamp.
has a toilet.
No, these are like,
Fancy, I mean.
they're probably nicer
Basically,
than some of the house. I mean, they.
like a tiny house or something, you know,
Oh,
like,
okay.
like you don't lose any of the
I thought
comforts
each
at
tent
home.
had a toilet or
No,
something.
it's
Glamping.
So, I
You
mean,
just,
those-
you might see an insect. I mean, that's like the camping element.
Okay.
It might be a little dirt.
Those are the types of businesses, I mean, we don't have anything really big, but all of those do require rezoning, but I'm trying to work with them and come up with any questions that the neighbors may ask. I mean, because that's always a big thing is the neighbors, they find out when they're, really on edge. So I try to figure out what the questions the neighbors need answered so they can, because they're allowed to come and voice their concern, and that's part of it, because the board, they need to hear from the neighbors to see if it's something they really want in their community. So.
I think back during the 60s and 70s, when we were putting in coal mines and there was mine machinery shops and welding shops and gob piles and everything else. Yeah, there was a need for stringent zoning. Now, if someone's going to put in a dump site or a collection point for cans or something like that, then yeah, we need to look at zoning. For just standard ordinary businesses, if you would tell Smithers or Montgomery, hey, you've got a business that wants to move in, okay, fine, bring them in here. Same thing out in Meadow Bridge. Hey, we've got a business that wants to move in. Hey, come on, tell them to come in. PAX, if you had a business that wants to come in, yeah, sure, bring them in. So I just think that we need to look at this and think for this day and age, but still yet protect their integrity of what was started. But, some of those questions.
You're referring to the Route 19 questions.
No, some of the questions you just read.
Okay, yeah.
It's going to be answered by the engineer that's taking care of it and environmental.
Right.
Because it's all done now through DNR and
Yeah.
everybody else.
And a lot of that is, a lot of that question, they can be all done by an engineer answering those. Because you have to have a DOH permit now. That's just something, we do it, make them have it first, because that way they don't build a building and then DOH says you can't come in. So it's
Right.
protecting, but I completely understand things have changed, and engineers, they have to cover a lot of those questions.
Well, I tell you the way I feel about it. I'd rather have, and this is just a discussion, so everybody knows how I feel about it. I'd rather have presently everything that the UDC code has and do away with the US Route 19 corridor management plan. That would make me happy. Just kick the US Route 19 corridor plan to the side and go with what the zoning regulations are. So that's why I want to bring this up. There's regulations here, and we may want to change some of these, but still, compared to US Route 19 corridor management plan, there's no comparisons.
And we've discussed this before, and I've kept trying to get my head around it, but when, is there any reason we can't accommodate the concerns that we identify on the 29th through the public input on the Route 19 plan? Is there any way that we couldn't accommodate those in the UDC and make it one comprehensive document?
Well, the Route 19, the section of the Route 19, they're talking about the big checklist. That's what we're asking the planning commission, do they want to amend it? Do they want to take it? It's going to be up to them on, their recommendation. That is a complete different section. So
It was added.
it was added. So if someone were to do a business, let's just say envision if we do get rid of that section, if they were going to do a business on 19, it still has to go through the review board. So any questions as far as, safety and traffic, those are still going to be addressed. They're still going to be reviewed under the comprehensive plan.
Well, some of the concerns about the Route 19 stuff, which I acknowledge are valid in some respects, were the aesthetic stuff.
Right.
And so is there a way to incorporate at least a way for us to make a judgment call as a commission, or the planning commission make a judgment call based on the location and the plan? I mean, not geared toward, shooting it down, but geared toward working with somebody to make it work, so it's.
There
not-
are provisions in our existing, not the 19, but in our provisions as far as any type of aesthetics and things. And it's also a public, it's still, it gets
There's
put in
some of
the,
this, what you're saying is, don't mean to interrupt, there's some of the same questions that has to be answered.
there's not as many,
Not
but
as many.
there
but
are
there's
some
just some
questions.
Similar ones.
And it's still gonna be open to the public. So if there is a business that wanted to relocate on 19, it's still gonna be 2 hearings. It'll still be a public meeting for the planning commission. And so the public can come voice concerns that the public may have, this isn't a right location. And then also your guys' meeting will be a public.
So basically, once we vet these Route 19 specific questions, if we then send the UDC out for similar, revision and updating, we could incorporate the Route 19 recommendations into the UDC rather than.
Yeah, you can amend it to add, if there's something that's very specific to the Route 19 area.
No, I mean, I agree with him. I think there should be one plan. I'm just trying to figure out, like, we can take some of the things that we think should stay from what came back from the Route 19 feedback. Even if we got rid of the plan, we could incorporate those provisions into the UDC.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it would stay in that section 9005. So you wouldn't get rid of the whole section. You could, make that, because section 9 of the UDC is development standards. So it also covers like cell towers and screening and big signs and things like that.
There's probably and I haven't looked at both and compared them both. And I'm not going to ask you to do that because it would probably be encompassing. Comparing exactly some of the information required in the US Route 19 Corridor Management Plan and the UDC code.
There's a lot because the Route 19.
So there's a pretty good bit of the same questions.
The Route 19 management plan is recommendations. Those are things that in 98 that were recommended to be things that if you build on 19 recommendations. What they did is they took all those recommendations and then they wrote the section of the 9005 to make some of that stuff code and that for those checklists. So, but they did try to in 2005 do a smaller update to it, like I said, it didn't get completely processed through. So, but you can, like I said, you can amend the UDC, do a procedure under state code, taking away, adding, you can do that.
Anytime we want.
Yes, like I said, there's a
But we have to
procedure.
do a meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it has to
90
still go
days.
through the planning, and that's all state code. That's not our code. That's something that state code. So there's options. I mean, and that's something that I can say it, but I think possibly, you can, get the public intent on what some issues that they, I don't want to be the one to make the decision saying, well, I don't like this, because I'm technically not supposed to have an opinion as a zoning officer.
You just follow
I'm
the
black and
rules,
white. I
follow
just
the
follow the
rules and
rules
regulations.
And follow,
Yeah.
so that's something that,
And I
you can
understand.
do that as part of the comp plan. You can ask the public to review the UDC and what do they want to add, what do they want to take away, so.
Well, I would like the UDC to go back for public comment. I really would, because, and then I would like for us to consider the overall, I would like to consider it and what we get back on Route 19 at the same time and decide what we're going to do with each.
Yeah, I think that's going to be your, we've got the Route 19 coming up on the 29th. So, it was put in the paper. I do think it was, put on Facebook as well. So, the public will have their input. The planning commission will make their recommendation and, it'll be all put together and then you guys can go from there on first focusing on the Route 19, because I do think that's the biggest topic right now is the business on our main route. So,
To me, it's the business killer. US Route 19 Corridor Management.
On the UDC, how many chapters are there?
there are 15 chapters.
15 chapters.
Yeah, so the first 2 or 3 chapters are all administrative law. And that all comes directly from the state. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, what you as a citizen supposed to do. And then the next 5 chapters are breaking each district. You have your residential district. We actually have like 6 different districts, but we only have 3 that we actually use. We have rural residential, we have residential agriculture, and then we have R2 district. R2 district is like Boomer and the clustered areas where your neighbors are a couple feet
close.
So those, we have regulations for that. And then you go into your different business districts. You have your B1, which are the bigger businesses, and then B2 are your, your general stores, your pharmacies, and then you have B3, which is our tourism. I think we're going to get a lot more people wanting to be a B3 business.
B3, yeah.
We don't have a lot of those now, your rafting companies, of course, they did B3. And then your B4 is your more big stores, your Walmarts.
Big block.
And then you get into your
Yeah, big
industrial
box,
sites.
yeah.
Yeah, you get to your industrial, you have several different industrial levels.
Before and after.
So what's the difference between, what did you say B1 is again?
So B1, and it's easier to, basically your B1 is like bakeries and
Okay.
banks and barber shops. And then, your B2 is, most people are B2. I mean, your antique shops, your ABC stores, your car repair shops, your ice cream shops, your restaurants. And then, like I said, your B3, that's when you do more of your tourism stuff. And I mean, a lot of the places, and I mean, it's all in black. It gives you a definition of some stuff. So those things are pretty easy to determine. If you're a business, I can look at, or you can look at and determine, are you in the right area or do you need to be rezoned? That is the simplest part of the zoning, is to figure out.
All right, so the first 8 chapters are just basic stuff.
Yeah, the first 7 chapters are basic.
Okay,
You get into 8. 8 is your planned development districts. Now, those are districts like Wolf Creek Park. We don't have very many of those. Those are people that got a big tract of land. They're very specific on what they want in those big tracts of land. That's a very big undertaking because you have to determine everything. Infrastructure, roads, things like that.
okay,
And then section 9, that is your neighborhood development, your cell towers, because we do have a cell tower ordinance. And that's where your Route 19 is at. So that's all your development standards for what people need to do.
okay,
And that also covers our floodplain ordinance. That's where our floodplain ordinance is at. Because in order for people to have flood insurance, we have to have an ordinance.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the book is appendixes. That's where the checklist is. It's in section 9, but it's also an appendix. That's the one that's the 100 and some questions we refer to, 127 questions. And the rest of it is blank for add-ons if there's any other new issues. So it's quite a lot. It's not as bad when you look at it every day, but I understand that if you're an outsider, I try to make it easy. And after I talk to them, most people breathe a little bit better, but it is a big undertaking. I haven't had to deal with the Route 19 yet because I haven't had a case under Route 19 at this time.
so if we were to want to, which we probably do, want to go in and take a look at that, it's section 9 and section 10, the appendixes.
Yes, section 9 is, I believe, the big issue that you guys are wanting. That's the biggest issue that has the very, very detailed information that would need to be done. And that was done because the boards at the time added those things to protect 19 was the original goal of that Route 19.
Okay,
Restrict development is what I call it.
all right.
So what do we need to do about getting the UDC on the, do you think we need to set a new agenda item to vote on? Because we didn't put anything about decision, but I think we do need to send the UDC out for public comment as well.
We've never actually updated, I mean, the UDC is updated piece by piece. Like, I don't know that it's ever, and we would have to check state code to see if you, I don't know that part. I hate to speak on. I mean, every time we've done it in the past, it's been a very specific section to update.
So we could say on our April the 9th meeting, we could have a discussion and decision that we want to amend section 9.
Well, you already currently are waiting for.
Yeah.
Part of your request for the planning commission that you guys made, you made the motion to amend section 9005 right now.
Okay,
You did it in a 2-part section. You did first the Route 19 plan that's part of the comprehensive plan, but you also made the recommendation to go ahead and amend the section 9005, which is discussing, that's the questions.
That's
You know,
the
we
question
did-
section.
Yes, that is, I'm
That's the
gonna ask-
127
Yes.
or 29
So-
area.
We already have that as a public thing on amending section 9005. We'll basically talk to the planning commission. They have all the questions. I've sent them that section. They will either vote to get rid of all of it, get rid of a portion of it, or keep it the same. Those are-
Which section has all these things like the undefined business plan and all the requirements?
That
of the
is
town?
in section 1. That's general regulations. That talks about, what's covered under.
And
Public
that's
hearing.
code, so we couldn't change that.
We
Right.
couldn't change it, but we could be specific about what
We
we
could make it
require.
user friendly. I think
Yeah.
is maybe the best thing on, these are the things that you must have in your business plan. I mean, I think you can do that. I mean, I'll check with Anthony to make sure that we don't overstep, what code is as far as zoning. But I think you can possibly make it,
I think if
more
we
black
help
and white.
applicants understand what we want, that's gonna help us. I mean, I think even if it's a modification such as an instruction sheet, or something like that. Or
Right, because we give them a checklist, but as far as the business, and if that's what's deterring people, I mean, I've never heard that complaint, but if that's what's deterring people, I mean,
I think the
We need
US
to
Route
look-
19 corridor management plan is deterring people.
Yeah.
Whole thing, excuse me for interrupting you.
that's all right.
Okay.
I mean,
How do you feel about that?
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask him again too. I just wanted to.
How
make
that on the
sure.
record.
Actually,
I
feel
know.
about
How
that.
many
We'll
times
make-
do I need to type that in the minutes?
Every time I say it, at least.
You should just go ahead and copy it.
Tom feels that
yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. I mean, I know, like I said, this book, I mean, it's 20 years old. So, and I mean, I know in the past it hasn't been updated a lot, but as long as we follow state code, I mean, we can make sure. I mean, I'll be more than happy to look at it and then maybe get with Anthony to make sure. Maybe we get someone to help and look at other counties on what they do when someone applies and make it a user-friendly application. I mean, right now it's a one-page application. It
I'm
is
gonna tell you,
very-
in my opinion, if we do away with the US Route 9 corridor management plan, you'll see so much growth, you won't be able to handle it.
Ruth, would you please, or Amy, I know you're
I mean,
listening,
that's an option, obviously. We're
would
gonna be
you
getting it
please
back.
put the UDC discussion and decision for April the 9th? That'll give us all time to look through the sections. And then we can come back and meet. And we'll talk about everything in the sections with exception to 9005.
Decision as to what?
You guys want to update each section or what?
Discussion and decision as to what?
Uh,
Specifically.
Whether to,
Which sections of the UDC to send out for comment and revision,
I think it'd be
updating.
do another public meeting, consider, yeah,
Whatever Ms. Taylor said.
Yeah,
I believe that'll
exactly.
work.
yeah, she
Yeah.
says it so much better than we do.
Yes.
I'm just very direct.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and it's never been done, but I'm sure I can, there's not, like I said, there's not a lot of zoning in the state, so would it maybe be possible to maybe take one section at a time of the whole book? Because you're gonna overwhelm the plan. I mean, we have 14 members, but that's gonna be a lot for them to take in the whole book.
Oh, it's gonna be a lot on the 29th. It's
It
probably
is gonna
already
be a
been
lot on
lot
the
for
20,
us.
and I encourage you guys to come. I
Oh,
don't
we're
need-
definitely there.
We'll be there.
And to get, and that's my only thing is, I think maybe if you guys took sections like every month, said, okay, these are things that maybe we can
Well,
update.
could you guys come to us with recommendations about the ones that you think need to be updated and
I
give us
can-
an order?
I can maybe, I mean, it's me, and so the planning commission, they're not supposed to come up with ideas on what to change.
I see.
So,
I think
All right.
I think it's us.
Yes, ma'am,
Because
and they
we're-
come
I'm gonna need a printed copy of it then, because I want to be able to. thumb
and that
through
is
it.
another thing I want to bring up since it's no decision, but several, maybe a year or two ago, this book is not, and I've actually got complaints on this from the public. This book is not searchable. So what that means is it is on our county website, but it is a scanned copy, which means that if you're going to look for the word Route 19,
Can't find it.
You
have to
ain't gonna
scan.
find it.
so, and also if I do an amendment, this is the only book. There is nowhere online that I can add an amendment. We paid a company and I think they only partially did it. We really need to get this up to current to where I can add amendments, where I'm able to have the software to, add additions and take away stuff. But it's just a scanned copy. There is no digital copy.
Yeah,
There is.
I use software that can do that. That's
Right.
inexpensive. So,
So we need
I have
to,
that on my list. I'll talk to Amy about it.
Yeah,
because
and I know-
she and Michelle and I have been trying to get an IT meeting together. So we
Yeah,
can-
and that is, a bit. I mean, we actually did pay some, I always thought it, you could get, it's really basically taking it and typing in Word. I mean, it's not,
We're taking it out. Line across it.
I'm
putting
talking about the whole
something
book, not just that section.
Oh, okay.
But that's something we don't have that right now. We don't have the ability, but when
Right.
it does get amended, basically it's me taking it out of the book. It's not. And I've had people complain, engineers and
Look.
surveyors that they have to call me because they can't find what something's on without going through 300 pages.
Mhm.
I do think it would be easier for people to know what they can and can't do if they can do a, control F, a word search. That way they can get to the
Right.
page. So that's-
295.
so it's a lot. So I think that's something, I know it's been discussed in the past, but I actually got a complaint about it yesterday. Someone said, can't you make it searchable? And I said, I will bring it up to the commission. So I think it's an undertaking because you're basically having to type up that, but something that I think. with
Well, isn't there a
technology-
program you can scan it and then change it?
Yeah, there are. The whole Adobe suite can do it. And also I have another
Adobe.
one called PDF Expert.
I
that's
have it
really
on
good.
my computer.
My scanner will do it too, I'm pretty sure. It'll scan it into Word.
Yeah, mine's on Word on my computer, but it's not, in all the pretty tabs and footnotes and all that. So we had hired a company and I think we'd started to pay them a little bit. They were out of Texas, but they didn't finish the job. So I think it's something we.
Well, PDFs are totally searchable too. I
Yeah.
mean, because the scanners we use you can have them scan it to be searchable.
Right, so that is a big
Index.
concern because no one wants to read the whole.
Well,
book.
speaking of indexing, Michelle has software in her
Yeah.
area where that can be done too.
And that, like I said, there are some things that I do, but as far as these updates, that's where the resource coordinator office comes in.
Yeah, and Michelle has more people in her
Than me.
office than anybody else has, so maybe she can.
They work harder.
We do more business than anybody else in the courthouse does.
Really,
Anthony does a lot of
really. I beg to differ.
But I do think that you may, once you go to that meeting and see how the Route 19 and go from there. I'm fine, like I said, anything you guys want to update, it doesn't matter to me. Adding, taking away, whatever's best for the county. But I think, see what happens on the 29th, see what the public comment on that is. Because that's what you're doing. You're going to amend that section of our unified development.
Well, let's definitely get an agenda item on for the 9th so we can address whatever we want to address that day.
Just
as far as-
discussion, I guess.
We can discuss and we can
Just
decide
say
which section
UDC
or
discussion.
sections we might want to send out.
Okay.
That way we can give ourselves the options,
Yeah.
we'll
Sounds
have
good to
a
me.
chance to go look at it and we can all come up with what we think needs to,
Yeah,
Go first.
UDC discussion, and that way we're covered on the
Yeah.
whole book.
basically on which section of the UDC we want to send for.
And don't read it when you're starting to get sleepy because it'll definitely put you out.
It's a lot. I understand it's a lot, but the whole purpose is to protect, the community. Because we do get neighbors who, we've had gambling joints and, overwhelming community did not want that, gambling joint in that location. So
Kill's getting sued right now.
Over.
that's not a gambling joint. That's a different establishment.
What's that?
Oh, Oak Hill has a zoning issue right now in the
Yeah.
court system Monday.
We're
So,
building some kind of rehab facility above Domino's and
Oh, yeah.
so there is here,
I know y'all got calls about it. 'Cause I
No,
know-
yeah.
I knew about that one.
So
Yeah.
we got
So
pulled
that's
into
what
it. It's called the Forensic House. It's ran by the HHR. It is basically the short of it is for people that can't mentally stand trial. They will be living in that facility. But it's a state program. But there is a
Like
zoning.
Sharp? I don't understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Or people who are special needs who wouldn't meet the Sharp level of,
I
it's
think
covered
so.
on their website.
Hey, when Anthony and Allison does this.
I
man,
know.
Yeah, there's something.
We're just like,
People
oh,
that-
not
because
sure what
they're
this
bringing
is.
people-
It's beyond our.
Yeah, 'cause there are people that aren't mentally competent to stand trial, but they don't.
But they're not dangerous.
People get sent to sharps or,
Usually criminally dangerous.
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
mine.
So it might be the ones who, keep committing. Out in Washington State, I had somebody I was prosecuting
Somebody indicted for
who
murder.
just kept going into other people's homes because she wanted hugs. I know, but what do you do?
There was a lady at rehab like that too. She would just go in from room to room to room just to say hello and touch your hand and just go. So,
We're in a meeting, or I would say something funny.
We got 5 minutes, so I want to ask y'all, did y'all get my email
Yes.
Okay, I sent this,
Yes, Josh,
okay.
Yeah.
I want y'all to look through it before the 29th.
okay.
I already did.
Okay.
Yeah, I looked through it, but
Okay.
I didn't understand why I was looking through it.
Yeah, and
'Cause I don't
Anthony,
think it was done
Anthony
properly.
wrote
Oh,
a great
okay.
email.
It's supposed to be to the US right now.
On that?
Management plan.
Oh, yeah.
There
'cause
was
that is
one
where it
part
was.
that we need to amend to send out to everyone. The one part is where it talks about getting the report from such and such, such and such. We just need to back that out. But everything else says everything perfectly on the head. And I would like for you to send that out. Everybody in the courthouse,
What was it?
the email that Anthony, did you see that one, Allison?
Oh, wow.
The email that Anthony wrote on that
About your signature, about copies?
about people actually signing the paperwork
Oh,
and
yeah,
putting it in
yeah.
the files?
Yeah, I agree with him on that.
Yeah, we need to get that out to everybody because,
And that stemmed kind of from that, because the thing he did, I mean, I just copied the file because it was not my case, but that's where that came from. It didn't have a signature on it.
yeah,
It wasn't a true copy, so to speak.
yeah, but we need to go ahead and have people sign it
All
so
employees.
that
I
there
think
is
there
a
are
true
those
copy.
official documents that everybody, we also need to add that people need to coordinate with Michelle's office staff to get that
Because
stuff.
we send, I mean, those things that the letter that was sent out that is on every case. So is that
Yeah,
something
like
that we-
decision letters, yeah, because
I mean,
those
that's
are
fine. If she has somewhere to scan.
things
them,
that need to be official. She's our information manager for the whole county. So if we have official government correspondence, that needs to
That's a nice
be,
building on the
at-
inside.
once she tells you what she wants you to
Right.
do.
And I'm not
Record it with
Because I know
against
that that's not
I'm
been
not
done,
against
but
it.
going forward, I'm trying to
I
digitize
just
zoning.
process is
It's all
not
paper.
done
It's
right.
And
Oh,
we're,
yeah.
it's
and
all
we're trying to
paper.
do that too, and we'll, you know, if you need
Yes.
scanners or whatever to be able to get her what she needs. you know,
Yes,
just
I
let us
agree
know.
100%.
But those any kind of official correspondence that's going out of here needs to be recorded with the county clerk.
And we may want to send that out in that memo as well, because I mean, you know,
Yeah.
and that's
we-
fine.
We
whatever.
would need to develop some stuff about.
Yeah.
Because we already have some place to put contracts and agreements that the county commission entered into.
And I'm just an extension, I mean, a
Right.
lower.
And I don't know if we would need, I have to ponder that. for a second.
And one thing I
Where to
wanted
put
to.
Then we may need to,
Zoning.
I mean, we may need to designate somebody within the county structure to do that for you. I mean, we'll have to talk to Ruth and see, because a lot of this is county proper stuff. But
Yes, that's
One
right.
thing I wanted to bring up, I had brought this up before, not you guys before, there's one big issue that's in here that I get a lot of complaints we don't address in here is Airbnbs. So,
what about them?
so I get a lot of complaints from citizens wanting to know, complaining on their neighbors. Or. you
Had a
can-
young call you about me?
No complaint on you yet.
Have you jumped Eddie yet?
Have you did too, and
He's very gracious.
I've talked to Anthony about it. Our zoning, we do have a section that says what a dwelling is. And by definition, a dwelling is primary residence or weekly, monthly, or yearly rentals. It does not address daily. That is probably because back in 2002, people didn't think to rent out their homes. Currently, so we can't address it. I have no jurisdiction. I do tell people, contact Eddie, contact the state. State Fire Marshal Office actually says you're supposed to have a short-term rental permit from them. They're supposed to come into your house and inspect it. They adopted that 2 years ago.
Yes.
So I do get a lot of complaints about that. Right now, we don't have anything, but I do know that has been a big citizen issue.
You had said there's some language in the county ordinance that makes it unclear whether or not.
So the definition of, and I'll read it to you. It says a dwelling unit is open room or rooms connected together constituting a separate individual housekeeping establishment for owner occupancy or rental on a lease, weekly, monthly, or longer basis. It does not say daily. We had once again, we had a lawyer who tried to sue a homeowner association and of course pulled us in and asked us why we weren't doing anything. And I was like, we really never addressed Airbnbs because it just has recently come up in the last few years. So either A, my point is either A, we need to add the word daily to this, or what other areas do outside of West Virginia is they simply, you can have an Airbnb, you just have to make sure that you contact the state, you contact Eddie, things like that. So that's just,
Could we not change it to vacation rentals?
we can add a definition. We recently added a definition of what a tiny house is. So that's something that you talk about what needs to be updated. That is one thing I think that we need to look into, either A, allowing vacation rentals in residential areas, as long as they get a business, and that's just something that I think that.
Well, and that could be an ordinance too. I think what we need to do is work with Eddie's office, because we need to make sure whatever it is comports with. what
Right,
the
and
tax
I've talked to
language is.
Eddie, and he's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
The
I'm
biggest
sure he's
issue I have
fine.
is on those, they contact Eddie, but then they don't get a state license, or they don't get the fire marshal approval. I think somebody needs to make sure that somebody's doing all three, because other states have had fires.
Right,
and
I'm
they didn't
talking
know.
about with regard to language.
Yeah.
Because based on the language, because he used some good language from the code on what defines.
State code has what the
Right.
short-term rental is. It's
Right.
actually, and Eddie, me and him have agreed, it's transients under 16 people.
Hmm.
I mean, they call them transients, we know they're vacations, so I think it's something we probably need to look at, and like I said, maybe even talk to Eddie one time. I mean, he has the numbers on how many we have in the county. He's gonna have better knowledge on that, but that is
That's
something that
better.
we get a lot
But I
of.
think they need
know
to
of.
file something so we track it. I mean, anyway.
I
But
agree.
The
Not
municipalities
designed.
is ones mostly have the complaints. It's not really outside.
No, we have several.
Oh, have you had?
Because if
really?
they complain, I mean, I'm look, if you're in the city, don't complain to me because I can't help.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
tell them, but I get,
Are you keeping track of them and making sure Eddie knows about them and stuff like that?
I do,
And
I
the
mean,
sheriff?
yeah, I mean, I let him know, people that have it listed, as an Airbnb on there. But as far as, the citizens complaints right now, I mean, I've not gone, after, because it's,
Bringing in Fridley and everything and how they pay their taxes also. Can we put that in? I mean, some way that we can track their hotel motel tax.
do they
along
pay
with this?
hotel motel tax on Airbnbs?
They
Yeah.
will
Are they
be.
supposed to?
They're
I mean, I know
supposed to.
that
They're
we've got a
supposed
lot
to.
that don't.
Well, what's happening is some aren't registering at all, so we don't know they're there. That's why I'm asking. If people are complaining, we probably need to know.
Yeah,
because
I do let
that
him
might
know
be
when I get
somebody.
them.
And for Lee, because he's the one who has to tax them.
Yeah.
But then, or Anna, actually, I think is the one.
No, but we
That's what
should.
I'm thinking. We
That's-
probably need one. Fayetteville has one.
Well, I thought we could add it in the,
Well, you need to have something to make them do.
Other-
Yeah.
like,
I had to get a
license,
business
something.
license for Fayetteville. I had to,
yeah.
pay a fee too. I had to register my business with the Secretary of State. Then I had to pay a fee with the town of Fayetteville. And I have to pay taxes to the town of Fayetteville. So mine aren't being collected through Airbnb. And they collect my sales tax, but they don't collect my hotel motel, which is one of the problems is the people who elect to have Airbnb collect their hotel motel. It's going in with the state sales tax. And that's the reason there's a new bill, down Charleston, is because the taxes are getting intermingled and the sales tax goes to the state, but the hotel motel is supposed to come to us and the municipalities, and they're not getting their piece. And so basically people are either having to pay twice or the county just doesn't get paid. Neither one of those are good solutions. So that's what the new legislation for the Airbnb is
Right.
supposed to be about. But I feel like what Fayetteville does is good. You have to pay a fee to, you have to pay for a business license in the town of Fayetteville to have your Airbnb.
And I think I've sent you
B&O
guys.
tax.
Yeah.
I do have, Carl was very
You gave-
gracious to give me, and the simplest thing I thought that you could is charge $100 a year at the county level for a short-term rental.
Mm.
And basically you get that as long as
You
Eddie
turn
knows about it. I have the state, you have your business license
And paying your
and the
taxes.
fire marshal. I mean, it's not, I don't want to block anybody, but
Right.
that way Eddie, because they're going to slip through the cracks, but once we find out about it, make sure every agency knows about it.
Well, there
Yeah.
has to be something though that we put in there about enforcement. That's
Well,
one of the issues that have come
well,
up.
probably the same procedure that all the others pay. I mean, how does Mike know if Ace paid? How does Mike know if gosh, I got brain fart here. Class 6 pays and all that. I mean,
Pays their
there-
taxes?
yeah, well, it pays the hotel motel tax.
Oh.
I mean,
There's a page that comes in every month,
okay, well,
regardless if they rent or not.
well, and you gotta send, you gotta, just like B&O tax. Is that what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So then if they're not paying it, they need at least send in zeros. If they're not paying it,
Yeah,
then it
that's what
flags,
Fayetteville does.
yeah, it flags it at Mike's.
And that could be a yearly, like I said, I mean, other states do it. So I mean, sometimes I reach outside of West Virginia when I Google stuff to see. I mean, I don't want it to be super stringent but I think there probably is some penalty if you don't file a yearly renewal. And that's just to protect, like I said, the hotel motel tax and to make sure
Well,
Eddie does know.
believe me,
And
they've
the fire marshal,
Shut your business down.
they actually, and they've done it in Fayetteville.
Mike's
police
good at
work,
doing that.
They actually are supposed to go in and make sure that if there's a fire, you get out safely. So the fire marshal, you have to pay, but very few of them know about it because it's not publicized. It's a state law and then it gets pushed aside. So.
Well, Fayetteville's using that as a mechanism to put some limits on the new Airbnbs in town, as it's using the fire marshal inspection as a part of the process now, where it wasn't before.
I
Yeah,
really
but the bill
feel,
just passed and they just knew it. And we
Right.
work with the fire marshal all the time, but I do know that, we have one fire marshal for 4 counties, so they're overwhelmed. They're not gonna wanna take the responsibility, and they're not gonna go in existing Airbnbs either. It will only be new, so, I mean, it's just something that I do get a lot of complaints for neighbors, and sometimes, they're not real complaints, they just wanna complain, but it is a concern for some people, just to know what's going on in the neighborhood.
I'd like to see Alan go in and do an inspection of them, whether they're new or old.
You can add that, like I said, those are things that you can add, it just has
For
to be a
what?
procedure.
Inspect them for what?
To make sure that if they have spindles on stair steps, they're close enough in case there's a kid there, he can't fall through. Because if it did, it would come back on your insurance.
It'd probably be more like the city of Charleston, they do a rental inspection, where before you rent it, it is basic stuff. It's not, hey, you gotta remodel your whole house, but make sure it has fire, safety things, just think like you're talking
Fire
about.
alarm. and
Yeah, I
stuff
mean,
like that.
Yeah,
You can't require somebody to remodel their house every time, but there are some
No.
safety things, just like the HUD checklist. I mean, but you guys can add that, because our building codes are in here as well, so, that's something that you
smoke
guys.
detector, gas detector,
Carbon, yeah, I mean, there's
yeah,
the things,
carbon
but
monoxide.
If there's gas, yeah.
that is one thing that I think needs to be addressed. I know a lot of people don't want to address Airbnbs, but I think tax basis, it may be hurting us not to have a.
I think, and I'm a businessman, I don't mind filling out a form every year, showing, I think if you're gonna rent it, you're gonna make money off of it, you need to let us know about it. I mean, I fill one out every year.
Mhm.
Anything else? Any more questions?
No, we're beyond, but thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good
We'll
information.
see you guys on the 29th,
Yep.
2:00 in the Memorial Building. Hopefully it won't be raining that day.
Amen. The roof split, or rubber membrane split, and water was coming down through it. Okay. They're making fun of me again. Got my nose fixed down, my mouth won't work. All right, we're at 11 o'clock. A little bit past. Discussion and decision table from 3/12/21. Lease between Fraternal Order of Police Memorial Lodge number 118 and the Fayette County Commission for the Community Correction Day Report Center. Since we have nothing else,
Well, we do have a little bit of information. Town of Fayetteville is not prepared to rent or sell the old elementary school yet. I've got confirmation on that. And then as far as the former Fayetteville Police Department, it is putting it up for auction, I think, taking bids until the 25th of March, and they do have bids already in excess of $100,000 for that building. So if we were interested in it, we're talking somewhere in that range. We were interested in bidding, but we're too late to get on any government specials at this point because they've already put it out there. So if we were interested in that, we're going to need, it says that they're accepting bids on March 25th, and I think the auction is going to be the 27th of March. So there is high level of interest in that building. There are multiple people who have expressed interest, individuals and organizations, I think, in purchasing it. So
I can't see us coming up with the cash for that right now with the way that our budget is and the cuts that we've had to do.
we had talked about family court, and have we taken a look at, how long it would take us to save that amount of money if we did bid for it for family court, because we are renting for family court right now. Of course,
Yeah.
we're getting reimbursed for that though, aren't we?
Yeah. Every
Would you
penny.
think the Supreme Court would reimburse us for the building?
No. I'm aware that the health department is looking at a building right now.
Right, in Oak Hill, you mentioned.
Yeah, and if they get that one, then that's going to open up that, and family court could come into there, and the Supreme Court will remodel it for us
Right.
at no cost to us.
Well, I thought we were talking about putting day report in there.
Yeah, it'd probably just slip them right in there. Could we do that?
I don't think it's large enough for day report.
How many square feet
I
is
thought
it?
the health department was,
It's
but the police
two-
department wasn't.
Right.
It's 2,940 foot.
Does it say how big this square footage is in this lease?
No, it didn't say anything about the square footage in the lease. But with the buildings, I mean, with trying to go in there and rebuild it out and everything, we just couldn't afford to build out either.
No, I'm just talking about what the Davenport Center's in right now.
With the large rooms and stuff they have. Rod, do you have any idea what the square footage is on the current DRC?
Sure, it's never been a 6,000 plus.
6,000?
I think it's 6,000 square feet.
You're talking
Yeah.
about old school.
Yeah, it's an old school and there's a lot of room in there.
The
Yeah, I thought I
cafeteria's
walked-
the size of- Cafeteria's probably 1,500 square feet.
Yeah, something like that.
Many classrooms.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
it's,
didn't know it was that big.
it's a large
They
building.
utilize 4 classrooms there. And then the office space, yeah, I'd say probably between 5,000 and 6,000.
So for the extra $6,000 for this year, it would give us time to look and try to do something with next year.
Well, I think we have to go along with this, and there is a provision in there that we can step out of this at any time, right?
Yes.
So,
30-day notice.
Yeah.
They added, I mean, aside from the rent going up, they also have some other provision in here that basically talks about day report being responsible for paying the FOP for extraordinary expenses caused by negligence on the part of the lessee.
What's that? Are they trying to blame us on the plumbing going bad?
Basically, I mean, this is what I'm hearing secondhand, but it's my understanding that there was some damage, vandalism
To the front doors.
done to the building, and the FOP is blaming participants in the day report program. I mean, as a practical matter, I don't think you even need to have this paragraph in there. I mean, if you're a tenant,
Right, you do damage, you're
and
responsible.
your activity results in damage. Now, it's also my understanding that day report's saying that neither, they're basically saying none of their participants have anything to do with it. So, but, you know, that's the only significant change aside from raising the rent was this provision. But like I said, I think legally, you don't even need to have that in there. I mean, I think if their operation damages the building, then I think the tenant can be liable for that regardless of whether it's in the lease or not.
So given that, does it matter that it is in there?
No, I mean, they're basically, in my opinion, stating what the law is.
Stating the obvious.
Yeah, I mean, more or less. I mean, there's the other thing I noticed, there's an arbitration clause. I don't like arbitration.
I do not either.
It was in last year's. And the other thing I noticed about this is it doesn't spell out how the arbitration is to be conducted. It almost makes it sound like what they really meant was mediation.
Mm-hmm.
Which mediations, and the reason I say that is mediation is not binding. And the idea of mediation is parties sit down with a mediator and they try to get the two parties to come to an agreement. Arbitration is generally binding. I mean, basically arbitration, each side appoints an arbitrator, those two appoint a third, and then they serve as the court, those three arbitrators. Each side presents their case and the three arbitrators make a decision, and that's that. You have no right to appeal, you have no right to do anything. But the way this is worded, it basically says you're supposed to go through arbitration before instituting any kind of action. So it almost sounds to me like what they really meant was mediation.
Yeah.
And to that extent, I don't have a problem with mediation.
Well, like I said, right now, I don't think we have any other option.
Can we change them things that you need to be changed and sign it and send it back? So
Well, I mean, a counter offer is essentially a rejection legally.
Mhm.
You submit a counter offer to the person or the entity that proposed, it's viewed as a rejection to their proposal. They don't have to accept our modification. But like I said though too, Tom, the way that paragraph's worded, to me,
Sounds like mediation.
it sounds like mediation. I don't have. a
I think we
problem.
could make an argument for that if there were ever an issue.
Well, I think absolutely, because it clearly contemplates.
even if you sign it the way it is,
I'm sorry?
even
Yeah.
if you sign it the way it is.
Yes, I mean, essentially,
Okay.
the way they describe the process.
It's like they used the wrong word. They-
Mediation, because it leaves open the possibility that if you don't like what happens, you can still go to court and sue. And that's, the crux of arbitration is it takes away your right to go to court and deal with things. But the way that paragraph's worded is you clearly have the ability to go to court. So I'm okay with it how it's written.
Okay.
The practical impact of it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we go ahead and approve and sign that lease.
I'll
and
second.
Get active in trying to find new locations for
Yeah.
these places.
Okay, we have a proper motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okey-doke, that passed. All right, Ruth, back to you.
So the next item is the one that was tabled, the LFPP contracts. So Anthony could review them, the ones with Tabitha Stover for independent marketing, and the next one is the Lady Mountain Films to take pictures. Did you look at all
I did. I only have one complaint about both of them, paragraph 5. And these contracts are pretty much the same. The difference is you've got different contractors, and then Exhibit A, which discusses what the contractors are supposed to be doing, is different, and there's different rates of compensation. My only complaint is Section 5 gives the contractors the right to collect legal fees if they have to sue the county commission, but there's nothing in there that gives us the right to collect legal fees if we have to sue them. So aside from that, but I mean, we're talking about $4,000 under the one contract, and I believe 6,800 under, I think 6,800 is the cap on the other, 6,860 is the cap on the other.
In other words, if the county commission doesn't fulfill the obligation to that, they can come back and sue for $10,000.
Well, the contracts are separate. They wouldn't.
Yeah,
they
well,
would only be able to
4,000.
sue under that particular contract, but there's a provision that gives them the ability to get the legal fees if the county commission breaches the contract. There's no corresponding provision that gives the county commission the right to collect its legal fees if we have the need to sue them.
Is there does it need to be there?
I mean, if we end up in litigation, and you guys want your attorney's fees, it absolutely needs to be there. I mean, the law is, each side pays their own legal fees unless there's a specific provision in the contract that says otherwise. I mean, generally, the language that I see in contracts, it reads something to the effect that, litigation is necessary to enforce the rights and obligations underneath the contract. The prevailing party, or the party that primarily prevails, will have their legal fees paid by the losing party. That way, it goes in both directions. If you end up in court, whoever ends up substantially prevailing gets their legal fees paid by the other side. The way it's written now,
We could win and we still play.
You could win and you're still gonna pay your legal fees. They could sue you and they're gonna get their legal fees if they win. But that's the only thing I saw that caused me.
I wonder if this is a contract that Susie took off the internet again.
Susie's on the call.
I don't know.
So again, this was, we discussed this, I believe, back in January when we were working through that other contract. And I had brought up the idea that because I am not a legal expert, that if the county, if we had a template where all I had to do was write that was already approved, all the legal language and standard legal language was in there, and then I'm just changing the scope of work. I'm happy again to I submitted this the week before, and hopefully any of those suggested edits by the prosecuting attorney's office could get communicated, and whatever the recommendations are around that legal generic language in the contract. Yeah, let's make those adjustments as you all see fit.
I mean, I think that the commission can approve the contracts with those adjustments. Like I said, my proposal is simply that the language be written that litigation is necessary to enforce the contract. The party that substantially prevails will have its legal fees paid by the other party. And I'll be happy to draft that, and I can prepare that and send it to Susie. But
Okay.
I think the county commission can approve the contracts with that amendment.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think we can. too.
I
So
make a
I'm-
motion to approve as Anthony's recommendation and change.
And I second.
We have a proper move and second, or motion and second. All of those in favor? Aye. Okay, Susie, they were approved, but Anthony's going to make the one change for you.
Okay.
And that way you'll have a template that you can use.
Yay. Okay. Thank you all.
Is it okay when it's done that we stamp your names?
Yes.
Hey, Susie, do you have these in Word format or something?
Yeah, I can just send you an email with these in Word format, and we can just edit in the email.
All right, I'll get them right back to you.
Okay, I'll send that right to you. Thanks.
Oh, okay, we need to make a quick break here.
Thank you, John.
Okay, and then we'll come back, and after these three items, we'll go straight into the budget. No, no.
Nope.
Oh,
I said no.
you said no also?
Yeah.
I thought you said yes. Okay, no.
I'm gonna get out of here then.
Hey, Anthony,
Yes, sir.
why don't you get out of here? Oh, did you, John Deere, they make great equipment, but there's a
I
piece of,
prefer red paint.
but there's a piece of equipment they won't stand behind anymore.
What?
Manure spreader.
So why are you
Bad
telling me
joke.
this?
I'm just telling you that they won't stand behind that one. I don't know why, but
Oh, mercy.
sometimes the people in the legislature have nothing better to do.
And
Oh, yeah, right.
Paul, the secretarial chair I got over here.
That's probably thing come over with the,
It's
probably right on the
courthouse.
well, no, it wouldn't have wheels.
That's true. That's true. They'll punch
They would be square.
Yeah.
All right. Now I get to see, whoa.
I was gonna tell you, John, we went out there and did a small amount of, well, it
Okay,
wasn't very difficult demolition.
You sound like
Oh,
Charlie
sorry.
Brown's teacher.
We did some demolition, we didn't really. There's a spot there under the table where there was a corner of the carpet, pulled it back. The tile's there, covered in carpet glue. It's there, so. It's got some holes drilled in it where they put those conduits up through. And just like, drill through 200-year-old tile, put in a plug and just But that would take work to get that glue up off the tile, I'm sure. Be a little bit labor intensive. I'm like, I gotta go do that same thing.
Nine times?
Huh?
My father has called me 9 times.
Your college. You gotta break it. Might as well get on the phone with him.
Refills.
No, well, yeah, maybe.
Depends on what you got in there.
Well, I know she likes purple. What are you looking for, Tom?
I don't know. Get some. Yeah, I'll put some out there real quick.
Hey, what you need?
Orange,
You like orange, she likes the purple.
orange. Let me just, okay, strawberry.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, you know, I'm in a commission meeting. Okay, well, Joyce had, well, no, you have Joyce's key, so I don't know how you're gonna get in.
What?
Well, if you wanna drive over here to the courthouse, wear a mask and come in here and I'll give you a key so you can get in your house.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
I need to go get some.
all right, I'll talk to you later. All right, bye.
2 o'clock on the 29th.
Dad locked himself out of the house. And I made sure to give Joyce a key.
You think everybody understood that I don't care for the US Route 19 corridor management
I don't
plan,
think
John?
it's very
I don't think
clear.
it was, is that how you actually feel? I think a lot of it needs to be,
Well, I was trying to say, there's already so many rules and regulations on the, with US, with the zoning in UDC that's the same as the other. I mean, let somebody come and try to get rezoned, and we can deny them if it ain't, if we don't think it ain't. We can let all these people in here and give us a hard time and tell us no and throw who asked, whatever we can do. Oh, yeah. Let's get this county developed. We need assets. Assets to generate revenue.
Do you think it'd be better if that screen showed the list of people on the call?
I would like to see the list of people on call.
yeah.
I don't need to see,
can do that.
yeah, I don't need to see myself.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
need to
want,
look at my hair. I need to see, I'd like to see the people on there. And if I wanted to ask them a question.
you may not want to do it. but you
I knew
have
you'd hear me.
Yeah. Because I'd like to see, you know, yeah. I like to
Because
go
the
ask
screens
them
are the same. I'd have to plug it in.
Hey, have you heard the commercial
Because look, I
about
can't
Bill
get-
2009 that the
I can't get to
AFL-CIO
that
put out?
screen
It
with my
says,
cursor, because that
tell
does the
your
same thing as that.
legislators to vote no on this.
So-
That's the people who work for the state. They said if they go on strike, they're going to lose their jobs.
It used- like, sometimes it's up there at the top. There's a view like that. You do this. I mean, then you can see that. So if
Is
you're,
that what you want to see?
you want to see it like that?
Oh, yeah,
instead?
all of them
Okay.
all of them that you can get on there.
I mean, that's everybody there.
Oh, there's nobody in
Okay.
that. We need to do something about getting more people.
I know
Well, there were a
Abby,
bunch earlier. They keep coming and going.
Yeah,
I
probably,
know Abby, I know Amy, I know Becky, I know Krista,
I bet you.
huh?
Who's Lisa?
Bueller?
That's probably
No,
Lisa Strayer.
Sweeler.
That's probably
Oh,
Lisa
Sweeler, yeah.
Strayer.
I don't know Bueller. I don't see Bueller on there at all.
This
Bueller?
is the part, this I don't know.
The guy that does our admin training sounds like that teacher.
Are you serious?
What's that?
Oh, I couldn't handle that.
Hmm,
I can't listen.
482.
Oh, here. I know she put some, those big strawberry ones in there.
Are they in there?
Yeah.
Big.
yeah, it's for
Every grandma
it's 42.
ever had these in there.
That's true. So,
And that ribbon candy that was, who knows how old in the little
yeah,
bowl.
yeah.
All
Hey.
stuck together.
Grapes. Yay.
Right.
I'm stealing
Are there any more strawberries? Did you look?
I got
You get-
one.
you-
Amy, Amy hooked you up.
Thank you,
Yeah, I
Amy.
took you. I'm going to Faye Werther's too.
Yep, Amy hooked you up.
She's my girl, that's why.
So you like that better? How's that?
Well, I got my own, John.
Oh,
Did you get it, Dave?
No, I didn't get any grape. I wouldn't take grape. Nope, them
You can
yours.
have
I want
a
the
grape.
orange. I want the
No.
orange.
I like
Take
it.
the grape.
yeah, we saved the grape for you.
Grape for
I
you.
thought that was Tom's favorite too.
You said, it's my favorite, so we.
Hey, I
I'm
want
not
to
gonna
tell y'all
touch it.
something while we're talking. So I was talking to one of our colleagues in Nicholas County
Yeah,
about jail bill stuff. And he had an idea and I raised it with Anthony and Anthony's gonna look into it, but in some of the cases where you really don't want someone running, criminal defendant running free and you don't know, not knowing where they are. If they can't afford GPS, a lot of times they end up putting them in jail. So over in Nicholas County, Judge Callahan went to the commission and said, hey, on the ones I'm not necessarily inclined to put in jail, but who can't afford GPS, are you willing to pay the GPS? Which is
a lot cheaper than
10%.
$70 a month or something. man. How
It's
much
like
is it?
$5 a day,
Yeah, it's $5 a
maybe
day.
$10 a day at most, a lot less than 48. So I thought that was a really good idea.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to let y'all know that. And Anthony's gonna do his research and talk to Day Report, and talk to Judge Ewing about it.
Absolutely. I think it's a
And,
great idea.
Anyway, but just to throw that out there, because I was like, shit, that's a good idea. I'm gonna send them Anthony's ideas for cutting the jail bill. He already gave me permission to let them know what his were. But anyway, I thought that was a good idea.
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea.
Mm.
I'm upset.
Uh-oh.
I'm upset because I didn't think about it.
I know, me too. Me too. I mean, I knew that. But in fact, it was Judge Callahan who thought about it. And they were like, well, yeah, we will.
Okay, let's get back to number 5.
This is the request by Tabitha Stover for the Fayetteville CBB with Generation NRG to set up a scavenger hunt photo op April 1st through 30th on the courthouse lawn. And also to use the courthouse lawn during the Earth Day celebration Saturday, April 24th, 9 to 7.
They generally use it when they're overflowed out front. And we've allowed that before.
Okay.
And they have their insurance on here. It's all through Jim Lively. So,
I mean, I'm fine with that.
but we need a motion.
I move we approve it.
A second.
Okay, we got a first, motion and a second. All those in
You are a
favor?
mess.
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we have a first
Phew.
and a second.
Second and a third. My goodness.
Goodness gracious. Okay,
All right.
6.
That is, at Tom's request, discussion and decision regarding
uploading the recorded meetings to a Fayette County Commission Facebook page and Fayette County Commission YouTube channel.
Right, I know, Allison, you've been talking about doing this. I want to see if we can, let's see,
We get moving on
can we get moving on? it?
it.
I know Facebook is free.
Well, Facebook is free. It hasn't been a matter of,
What about a YouTube channel?
of it being free. It's just been a matter of getting a design or something that would.
Does YouTube charge you for a channel?
No, it's already set
Well, we
up.
can put, I think
Oh,
we
so
can
that's
put
free
something
too.
up there as a
I
placeholder
mean,
and
just to
then,
get it,
yeah, get it
you
out
know.
there and then.
and also
then we
you,
can-
you, Amy can work with it. I don't care what you, as long as we get them things up.
So you're basically saying, motion for Allison to get off her butt and do the Facebook page and the YouTube channel.
Or Amy can put it together. and you
That's
can
what it
approve
sounds
That's
like.
what it sounds like to me.
That was a PG version.
That's what I heard.
It was because
And I
we're in a
think
public
really it
meeting,
just
but
needs to be simple,
I was
like
thinking
circuit
the
clerk one.
our version in my head. Huh?
It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Did you see the circuit clerk?
And you
one
can
that
change
they
it
did?
anytime you want.
Mhm.
You know, we can change
Yeah.
it anytime.
And
we
Okay,
want.
like
you're
she
right.
learned- it's
You're
just-
right.
to make sure you have somebody that does it consistently.
Amy said she'll gladly do it. It's fine. She just texted me.
All right, I move that I get off my butt and get the Facebook page formed and the YouTube channel ready so we can start uploading our meetings.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye, amen.
Number 7,
Last one is future agenda items.
I like that this is on here. I know I said it last time, but I'm saying it again.
The Bill Wells,
That will be on the
26.
26. And he's gonna send a letter that, and you can retype it, you know how you do your thing, Ruth, you and Amy.
So what does it mean to
It's a
say,
pr- it's-
sir?
It's a, well, he's gonna send you the letter and then you can take it and put it on our letterhead. It's basically approving, gosh, we talked this morning. Let me see if he emailed that, text that to me.
So.
Supporting the grants. You know,
Oh, support letter.
yes, support letter. Sorry, yeah, it took me that long to get it out.
Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
help
put the right wording on there then.
Yeah, it's basically, you know, the DOH pulled out, right? Of all the trail.
Yes,
grants.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
I mean, so now there's funding, and he talked to Region 4, and somehow they're using some other funding that we already funded some trails. And he's going to use what we funded in the grants to extend the trails that the DOH has pulled out of.
Yes.
So he'll be here the 26th.
So we'll word it to match his letter.
You're right.
Which
There you
item is this? The 9:30?
It will now be the 10:30 on the March 26th meeting.
Okay.
And the 9:30 one's really pending until we get an answer back. So that
About,
may change.
about the website?
Mhm.
We don't have the website yet?
What did you say?
Well, I've got something, 26th, right? That's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
firm down.
I didn't know that we was talking about, I've got the recreational website. He's gonna go ahead and bring a county website in too. You know,
Just a proposed?
just a proposed, we're meeting the 23rd and 24th. I'm meeting with, Atlas and Bill Wells and Andy Davis about the mapping
Mhm.
project that I'm doing with all the recreation. The guy that's going to propose the recreational website design is going to be here also to help in case he had any questions about linking the mapping that we're going to do with Atlas to the county recreational website.
Okay.
So then he can link everything, and then we as a commission can say, well, we don't like this, we want to change this, and he'll know how to relink everything if we want to do it that way, any way we want to do it. So that's going to be on the 26th.
Okay, and I want to add a very short agenda item about, I know we discussed in the budget last Friday where the additional ranks within the sheriff's department that Sheriff Ridley pitched us.
Did you put that in there yet?
It was in the budget request
It could be in the exhibits.
that we looked over, wherever we put it, whether it's on the agenda or the exhibits. I would like to propose for a discussion and decision on that date that we approve those starting the first pay period in April rather than wait until the fiscal year so they can start restructuring and work on their retaining, because they already know they're not going to get that we cut those two positions, and they're trying to organize and keep good people and get their supervision, their chains of command set up. And I think that's a small investment that will help with morale and everything. Assuming Ruth can find money for it, but.
Yeah, I already looked at it, it's good.
Okay, so it sounds like we have the money for it, but I just want to put it on there for decision.
Okay.
Amy's adding this stuff as we talk about it. So.
Okay, and wait, I need to check my list. 'Cause
You had more.
I did, I had like 3 or 4 things.
Yes.
I don't know that they all need to go for that, but. Also,
Allison's got a few more things for the exhibit on the 26th.
this is just an FYI, and I need to include Amy in this, but I met with the Bridge Day Commission for the first time this past week, and Becky every year has to apply for the same exact permits for the same exact places through us and the Board of Ed. And I think some of ours, like for use of the Memorial Building parking lot or something like that, I think that we can do an order or something that's a standing order, so she doesn't have to do that annually. We know when Bridge Day is going to be every year. I feel like if somebody else needs it for some reason, then they should apply for an exception and not, because, and then she doesn't have to do all that extra paperwork every year when she's trying to get the stuff set up. So I'm just trying to streamline things. So Amy, if you could come up with something, then when Becky presents her request to us this year, it is going to be for a more permanent, semi-permanent arrangement. So we can help with the paperwork. And also if you wouldn't mind doing a letter to the Department of Education or Board of Education and let them know what we're doing and see if they might also accommodate the Bridge Day Commission that way. And it could be from me as the Bridge Day Commissioner, and just let them know we're doing this. We're trying to make it easier for the commission to get things done and see if they'd be willing to accommodate us in that way. But so I mentioned the LED ranks. I've already mentioned that I'd like for us to identify a date, preferably next week, and if not the following, for our economic development meeting that we have discussed. Next week would be better for me because everybody may know I'm turning 50 on Monday, and I'm hoping the following week to be out of town because we've been doing budget drills and I haven't been able to celebrate yet. So.
Why don't we do it on the 9th, after the meeting on the 9th?
And we might have more info by then.
Yeah,
Because they're still waiting on Treasury.
That's a good
guidance
idea. So,
Yeah.
so an economic development workshop and
On the 9th.
yeah, and for this one, I'm thinking just us commissioners and our staff bringing our ideas to the table. And then the next workshop we set up on engage the NRG RDA,
More people.
report and all that stuff. At that meeting, it'll be a planning workshop where we decide, here's what we think our priorities should be and try to sort that stuff out. And then we decide who we want to bring in for the next phase and how we want to organize that stuff.
So it's just discussion and planning.
Yeah, it's strategic planning, basically.
That S word that she used.
Yeah, she's gonna have the executive summary in by the 15th. I don't know whether that makes it.
Executive summary. Yeah, it kind of does. See, that makes me want to meet sooner than that. Could we meet after the 26th, at least for our planning meeting?
Yeah, we can.
I feel like mine is
Waka,
pretty-
waka, 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 waka.
I mean.
We can, yeah, as long as we get the,
Well, then, and then on the meeting after 9,
and then as
Maybe turn that
long as
thing
we
off.
get the budget, done. Today,
Okay, I gotta
day.
turn my hearing aids off. It's getting
I
on my
don't know
nerves.
what's doing it. Did you turn that off?
Still
I
up.
think that's what's causing the problem. Hold it down.
Is there a mic on the computer?
Okay,
There's gotta be somebody
okay.
It hasn't happened yet. Let's see, everything's muted.
Was that the problem? Your phone?
No, I think there's something else.
You have got to stop, you're killing me. So my proposal is that
Hang on.
Guess we'll just stop talking. Okay, wow, it's a lot better.
I don't know what happened though.
okay, my proposal is that we have our meeting after the meeting on the 26th, because we do have a deadline with Gina. And then we
Yes.
get Gina and Region 4 and them to come on the 9th. And
Okay,
that way Gina will have enough for her executive summary for the 15th.
Yeah, she's supposed to give us
a copy.
a copy of it here. She told me we should have it this week, really.
Okay.
Well, she told, when I talked to her last night, it'll probably be next week sometime before we get it.
Well, we can always ask her to be ready in case we
Yeah.
decide we want to move forward with
So
that
we
executive
do our
summary
meeting on the 26th,
Mhm,
and then we'll do the 9th with everyone.
mhm.
Okay, so did you get that?
'Cause I
So
had
we
to get off my
definitely have to
computer, so
finish
I-
the budget
That
today.
still fits your vacation, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Where are you going?
I'm probably going to go to San Diego with my cousin.
Wonderful zoo out there.
I'm not going to a damn zoo. I'm going to watch the Navy SEALs train or something.
We actually have at 11 o'clock for that,
But we have,
along those lines anyway.
there's all kinds
Both
of
the mayors and,
seals.
Yeah, and I had
Okay.
already added in.
Seals
also
out there
when we
too.
talked to Angela
I was
about
stationed in
where we
Monterey.
use
I
for
saw
the
plenty of
zoning
those guys.
Okay.
Oh, really?
discussion,
Yes.
if I can
We
get back
stayed
to
at
it.
the,
Got it.
Tiger Woods just won the US Open out there, Torrey Pines.
Oh my God.
I stayed at Torrey Pines. Oh, it was beautiful out there.
Yeah, I've been to Pebble Beach and all of that many times. San Diego's down south. I'm going to go down, get some sun and
And it's close enough that you could drive into Napa.
breakfast burritos. No, San Diego isn't. Oh, Monterey is, yeah.
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 Because we drove from San Diego down into Napa
You
Valley.
know, Napa Valley is far north and San Diego's really on the border of Mexico.
Yeah, but we drove,
Oh, y'all drove the whole route one up.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a blast. And then I
So
don't remember nothing on the way back.
who have we invited for the Jerry Brown? Have we invited his widow and his?
Kevin was our contact for that, and he was in touch with him and, or her, she and the family.
Well, and Rick Brown is,
Yeah.
who's our employee, is his, or Ridley's anyway, is his brother. So we need to make sure
Oh.
he's invited. Okay. Will somebody, will one of you follow up with Kevin, just make sure that they know to be here? Okay. Why is everybody looking, do I have something on my face?
No, we're just paying,
Yeah,
you're talking.
glasses.
We're just paying attention to you, you're talking.
Maybe we ought to give you
Sparkly.
the nickname Sparkles
Yeah,
for your
well, I wear him to
glasses.
distract, that's probably what had you all messed up all day, you get distracted by the sparkles.
Yeah.
I know y'all look at something shiny, you see it and it's like, get your attention, I put them on.
Did you hear what we get accused of?
Mhm. He knows it's true though, that's the thing, at least he's not denying it. So are we moving on to the 9th? Have we finished on the 26th?
Mhm.
Okay, so on the 9th, planning commission recommendation. So this is where we decide what we're gonna do with the stuff that happens on 29th of March at the comp plan or the Route 19
Yes,
recommendations stuff.
yeah, so we're gonna have to give that one a quick decision or a quick talk on what we're gonna do, because then we have that workshop with everybody on the,
I don't wanna take action on this until we, I mean, I guess we probably have to.
I'm
because it's
confused
creating
again
an-
on the month, okay. The ninth, what's on there for the ninth? again?
Basically,
Just now.
the amendment to the Route 19 overlay based on the feedback we get on the 29th.
Okay,
That's
so that's coming up on the ninth then.
on the 9th, and I'm
Right,
trying to
and then
decide, so
this
tell
will
me,
be-
as
tell me
long as
what
we
you
get
would
the
like to see
decision.
happen, because, well,
We'll vote on the recommendations.
Yeah.
Won't they give us
If
recommendations?
they give us the recommendation by the 9th, then we'll be able to make a decision.
They will, but then there's the whole issue that Tom pointed out earlier that I think is valid, is that, do we need this extra plan, or can the recommendations be incorporated the ones we like be incorporated into the UDC itself?
I won't be honest with you, I don't think that they're gonna know what to do on the 29th. I mean, I'm not saying, I don't know them that well, but this thing has never really been brought up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only been, the only times it's ever been to try to get it rezoned or planned development was in 2001.
Is that when they put the
That's when they done,
Lowe's and Walmart?
well, no. If you remember, Fayetteville brought that in, so it didn't have to be done. Fayetteville brought that in a municipality. It was the Zinks Field
Yeah.
that was turned down, and this time it was approved without even any of the plan being done. Bud Hill's property, 75 acres out there, Gray's property out there on 612 and 19, and Saunders property. And all of them was done in 2000 and 2001. So none of this has been brought up in 20 years. So
This is
they're
gonna be a
probably
big
not
thing.
even, they don't even know what it is. They don't even know what it's not like it's a regular thing that happens, like a rezoning or anything like. I know I'm rambling, John.
I'm
No,
just
you make
saying,
me feel old.
as
You
far
said
as this
2000.
agenda item is concerned, though, my question is, do we think April 9th is the time to make this decision, or is that after? Because we also added to April 9th, didn't we already, the UDC
So-
sections?
Here's what
I
I
think that was
typed while you all were meeting.
Mhm,
Angela already has the 9:30 for the overlay
mhm.
coming back from the planning commission. Then we had the 11 o'clock hold for the mayor meeting if NRG RDA is ready. And then I'd put, or we could have the meeting that Tom wanted to have with the development and zoning, because he wanted to bring people in for that. But then later you discussed the UDC discussion and decision with exception to 9005 to determine which sections to send out for public comment. And I put that at 9:30.
So you put the UDC thing at 9:30 and you moved the planning
I
commission
can
thing
do this
to,
now. Yeah.
okay.
So there's the 9:30. It's published. It has to stay there. Then this is, and then of course we were going to discuss this, Tom's.
That's part of
edition.
it.
And then,
Well, the way I see that 9:30 item is, she can tell us what the conclusions are for the 29th.
mhm.
And then when we get down to 11, we can decide what we're going to do with them in context of everything else. Like,
I think we have to do it with that discussion at 9:30, because that's when the people will be, that's when the hearing is. Is that correct?
it just says recommendation. No, we'll have had the public hearings on the 29th.
Yeah, she
But-
has to come and present this to
But
you guys.
yeah, she has to present it do we make the decision then?
It doesn't say, and plus, she's just given us her recommendations. So we can decide it at 11, or we can decide it, we can notice it and decide it at 11, or we can decide to send whatever other sections we decide to get public comment and decide them all together.
Well, that's already been, we'll have to make a decision right after this, because or we'd have to go back through the same process again, in my opinion. I think once it goes to the planning commission, they make a recommendation. We can either take their recommendation, or we can come up with our own recommendation at that
I'm
time.
talking about the timing of our decision. Do we have to make that decision the day she tells us
Do you
what the
want
recommendations
Angela
are
to
or not?
come?
Yes,
No,
yeah.
no. That's where it says that. Well, Allison's question is no. You can
Yeah.
decide to table it or postpone it or not make any decision.
Well,
I have to check with Anthony.
But I'm sure if we do
Yeah,
that,
right
At the city
The
council
people-
level, that is.
the people
No,
needs to
Commission
know
chambers.
when we're
Yeah.
gonna.
Oh, yeah,
that's
we
gonna be
would,
a big, if it's not done correctly,
oh, yeah, we would let them know.
it's
I'm
gonna
just,
be a big.
I'm just saying, at 11, we can decide which section or sections of the UDC we want to send out. I'm just concerned, I agree with you. I think that we don't need a separate plan. We need one comprehensive zoning
Well,
document.
see, I think if we do away with the UDC, excuse me, if we do away with the US Route 19 corridor management plan, we can work with everything else. I think it's just, that was just added. It's not, I mean, I don't, maybe I'm not explaining myself correctly, but it's, if we do away with that, we still have guidelines that we can amend or adjust anytime we want. But I mean,
Even,
I don't know how y'all feel about how you want to vote, but when I vote, that's the way I'm going to vote.
even based on but even based on the recommendations that they have, we could still incorporate those recommendations
if we want
into the
to.
UDC.
No, they're already there.
Well, not if they're not anymore. I'm saying if we voted down the plan itself, those recommendations that came from our research on the plan could be incorporated into the
Oh, yeah,
UDC itself.
Can we do like bullet points since it's gonna be two different?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that probably is gonna be the best thing. So the first thing you guys want to do is the planning, which I'll present at the planning commission recommendation for amendment to the comprehensive plan, but you need to put in there route, it's the Route 19,
Overlay district.
not the overlay district.
Okay, so this is different.
Yeah, it's the Route 19 comprehensive. I'll get the exact word.
Yeah, I
Okay,
think
okay.
I think the Unified Development Code. needs
It's
to be-
US Route 19.
Right.
It's the plan.
Okay,
That's the
Overlay plan.
1998. You might want to put 1998 because
okay.
some people think they're getting it confused. So
So we'll come up with that.
I just want to make
exactly.
sure exactly what is written on the paper.
Now, why are we addressing the so you guys soliciting comment on the comp plan as well?
So and it's the Route 19 plan, which is the separate book. It's like 100 and some pages. That is attached to the comprehensive plan. It's mentioned in several places. That has to be amended. And then also you have to amend that section 9005 that's in the
That's part of the
UDC.
UDC.
It's a two-part, so it's actually be two recommendations that comes from the planning commission.
Seems way more complicated than
It
should
is,
have
but,
to be.
Yeah.
And
see,
then-
and we're addressing something that's 30 years old now.
Right,
so-
I'm looking to simplify.
Yeah.
I know,
See,
and
and I
I,
think if we do away with the US Route 19 corridor management plan, you just stay with the UDC
okay,
the way it is.
I'll get you the bullet points. So
I mean, that's just my opinion.
what's gonna happen is after we have the meeting on the 29th, they're gonna vote. It's majority rule. The first thing they're gonna vote on is that amending it to out of the comprehensive plan. It's that whole big separate gray, black and white looking thing that nobody's probably, I mean, honestly, nobody's read. So I'll say, the planning commission has made a recommendation to amend it, keep it the same, or remove it. It's kind of gonna be their three options. Is this alive? Okay, so that's a lot to take in. They may not know what to amend. They may say, we don't know what to take out. That's gonna be up to them. You guys are pretty much going to accept or reject their recommendation. You have that option to say, we agree with you, or we don't agree with you.
Then what happens?
And then basically that gets, we'll have to do three, if they decide that 1998 is an old version, we just want to take it out of the comprehensive plan, then an order will be typed up and it will be removed if you guys agree. If they agree to keep it, then you guys can say, no, we don't agree, we want it gone, or we want it amended. Or they may say, let's take out certain parts. They may not know what certain parts to take out.
Oh, I guarantee you.
I mean, I'm trying to,
Does it go back to the commission, to the planning commission after they?
no, the
they
only reason
deny?
it would
Okay.
be if someone filed an appeal. And that would go through the court system. And so that's gonna be how you guys, like I said.
So this is a done decision this day.
that is
Okay,
done.
so if they say we want, just I want to see what all our options are. So if they say we recommend these specific amendments,
Mhm.
because they're going to recommend specific amendments, right? They're not going to say, we just recommend it be amended.
My opinion on the
I don't
route,
think they're gonna.
I mean, honestly,
Have you read it? Have you looked?
I read it.
I mean, it hasn't been brought up in 20 years. Nobody's brought it
Yeah,
up.
the Route 19 comprehensive plan is a lot for them to know what they want to take out. I mean, that is going to be a lot because it's 100 and some pages. we're talking about business owners and bankers, but they're not engineers and they're not a lot of that. So they may not know. They may say get rid of all of it or keep it the same. It may be something of, we're not sure what to take out. We're gonna meet again.
So they could meet again and we might not be able to address that agenda item on the 9th.
Possibly. I'm just trying to play
No,
devil's
I didn't
advocate.
know that.
I know. But,
Nobody forewarned me of that.
well, I mean, they might come back and say, we don't know what to amend.
Okay.
It's never happened. I don't know on that portion
The only
because
problem, how long have they had?
it has to get mailed out 30 days before the hearing. I mailed it, what I did, I mailed them the public notice. I emailed all those members who have email. I said, here's the 100 and some page book. Please read it. If you want a paper, I didn't want to mail everybody that because that's a lot. If you want a paper copy, I'll make you a copy. And we have 3 members that don't have email, so I'll put them a copy of it in there. I'm going to call them next week and say, hey, if you had a chance to read it, I don't know if they read it. I mean, I can't make them read it. So that will be one item. And like I said, they'll come back. I don't know how they're going to vote. I don't have a feeling. None of them have really, I have 2 members that already said they aren't going to be there. What if I don't have 4? I mean, there's different. That's fine.
Ugh.
If you don't have a quorum, that's on you.
I mean, I can't meet legally. I can't, I mean, if I don't
So
have.
then what happens? It goes another 120 days,
No, I can post it again in 30 days. It'll be 30
about
days.
30 days.
Yeah, I mean,
So this could go on for a year.
By then, we're liable to have the whole book done.
No, we still will be the same place.
but
we
that's
are.
comp plan. Now, we're still on the comp plan thing.
Oh, that's common.
Yeah, I know, and it is very cumbersome. I agree. I mean, so that's gonna be their recommendation on whether they want to keep it in the comp plan or not.
Is there a point that the commission can step in and say, listen, you haven't done your, and I'm not saying they won't do their due diligence, but is there a point that the commission can step in and say, listen, you've been back with you 6 times, you haven't had a quorum.
That'd be an Anthony. I mean, that's a legality. I don't want to say yes.
I'm just saying, I see it happening.
Yeah, that's an Anthony question there.
Yeah, I mean, you have to also, our planning commission.
We can also subpoena them all and have them come here
Right, I mean.
and
you
ask
can.
them to render a decision.
I mean, very often
vote.
there's not a quorum. I'm just
Thank you.
preparing you of what might happen.
I mean, this is a court, so you have to remember, this is a county court. And
Yeah.
if we don't have people showing up where we need them to make a decision, we can subpoena them here.
Okay.
Right, so I mean,
All
so
I
you're
need
gonna
is a
have
gavel.
that one item. And then after you guys decide whatever, and it may be possible, and I'll check with Anthony and make him do some research. If they come back and say, we don't know what to amend, we agree it needs to be amended, but we don't know what. At that point in time, I don't know how we proceed, who we get to make decisions. on.
Well, if they don't know what to do, then there's a problem. Either they don't know the scope of their board, their being a board member, or it needs to come to the commission. I mean, but I'm not legal. I'm not.
Well,
just
I
check
mean, but the board also has the ability to call in people to answer questions and to ask for help. So,
Right.
that's something that, I would encourage you do if they start expressing confusion about, we don't know what to do. And
I do know historically, they've never had to amend the comp plan. I'm just that's not ever been requested, so that's something maybe new.
It's gonna
Those are
get
your
worse.
They
different-
never had to make a decision on it.
I mean, that's.
it's
just-
going to get worse because we're about to address the whole thing.
Right, so I just want to make you, and I mean, I let Tom know the other day, there are several different options. They won't give me a feeling one way or the other. There's only on the board, there are 3 people that probably know about the Route 19. You do have one member who helped, Carl Harris, he's on the board. I mean, so he knows about it because he helped do some of it. So he's well aware, but, you've got.
I know
13 other people.
Steve Eads read it.
And I did call Steve and I said, it's a lot to take in. It is a lot, and I understand that, but the first thing is the comp plan. That's a big book to decide what they want to amend. I don't know how they're going to amend.
Now, let me ask you another question that I was going to go with, if it comes to it. Yeah, okay, when they vote, is it just, do they have the recommendation, and one makes a motion, the other one seconds it?
Yeah, it's just like Robert's Rule of Order, they'll
But
have
there's
this.
15 of them, correct?
Yeah, and there's one person who'll make a motion to do whatever, amend it, remove it, and then you'll have a second, and then the rest of them will vote.
So only 2 has to agree to it then.
No, it's still majority.
Okay, well,
Still
how
a
many-
majority.
Okay.
You have your first and you have your second, but then you take a vote because they're.
So we'll know what everybody voted, what
Yeah, I'll
everybody
have to have
voted.
them raise their hand because it's in the memorial. I'm not gonna hear one guy
Can
say.
we put it,
yay.
it will be on record.
Yes, the
Okay.
resource office, they'll take minutes and they normally document, this list is no, because with it being a bigger board and with it not being as close, it's gonna be hard to see who votes yes or no without a raise of hand. So,
Okay.
but we're also gonna give the public, there'll be public comment.
Oh, we'll probably be there for 6 hours.
It's very long. So that's, like I said, and then the second thing they're gonna discuss is amending that section 9005. That's the checklist. That's where it talks about the whole planning process, and then that's the 127 questions. What I did is I highlighted the questions that you guys had looked at, some things that needed to stay, and that's more like safety and engineer. They may, and I highlighted them because they can look at them. They may agree with you. They may not know. And like I said, that's at the point where you guys can say, we don't like your recommendation, we want to remove it, amend it. And
So do you want to move the UDC out for a while until this is over with? Because this may be going for a couple months. Let's pray it doesn't.
Well,
I'm just preparing you, because like I said, they.
Yeah,
they
I want to be
voted-
prepared. I want to be.
I think maybe we could move it at least to the 20th as a placeholder, and then depending on what happens during all this, we can either address it or wait, or, take it off the agenda or move it.
Okay.
And it is a two, like I said, the 9:30, I'll ask Amy to do two little tabs, because you'll be doing two different things.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure the wording of what's on that book. I mean, I call it the Route 19 Comprehensive Plan, but it actually has a very, it is from 1998. I tried to contact the company that did it to see if they had better maps. The original is no longer at the courthouse, it's just a copy. So we don't have the original, and the guy that did it, he doesn't work.
So
with
Amy,
it
that
anymore.
11:30 one, move it to the 20th for now.
Okay, so we'll move this discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to the 20th for now, and don't publish it until you check with us, because we'll have a better idea before you have to publish it.
Oh, yeah. We'll be
Um,
doing this every week, so we'll
yeah.
see it. So we'll just, oops. It's hard to do from way over here. Yeah. And there's glare, there's paste. Is that paste? No, okay.
Like I said, I don't know historically if they've ever come back and said, we don't know what to do. It's never happened, but
But this is a big thing.
I'm just preparing, I don't
Yeah,
want
this-
anybody to be,
This is not 2 pages.
Has Rick been talking to you?
Rick,
I mean, not
Form.
Rick, but yeah, Rick Form.
I've not heard a word from him.
Huh?
I've not heard nothing.
Okay.
So that's why I'm gonna call all the members, because I've had no contact with any member asking me questions or anything, so he is the leader of the meeting. He would actually be the one that's supposed to handle the meeting. But it's, Planning Commission 101. I mean, that's the simplest way to say it. So I'm gonna talk to him because I don't know if he understands what a big meeting this might possibly. Right now, I think, online.
Probably the biggest meeting y'all will ever have.
Well, no, the
No.
compressor station was pretty big. I mean, so. I've not, but honestly, none of them have called me. And asked questions, except Carl Harris. I mean, I know he knows what's going on, but the rest of them I've not had any contact, other than saying, here's a meeting.
Well, he's a lawyer. He should know what's going on. He should.
He's pretty fluent in that stuff. I
Oh, he
think.
helped. I mean, he does
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah, he
is
was
on the
involved in
planning
it, I
commission.
believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was around when he wasn't prosecutor yet, actually, when he wasn't prosecutor until 2005. So when
It was,
the Route 19 first step as
Yeah.
Judge Blake.
Yeah. Order management.
so 14, I
But I'll
know.
get the exact
But
wording.
Carl worked for him. He might have been working with the commission, but he wasn't the
Oh,
prosecutor.
okay.
He helped with the Unified Development Code.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing that he had as far as planning and zoning, the Unified Development Code.
That's
is what he
4.
really helped. And the update in 2011.
So there are a couple of personnel issues about structure and salaries and stuff out the 911 center that we're going to need to discuss in executive session. And I want to do it next week because Joy will be back.
Yep.
And we need her participation. She's been out there for quite a while.
Thank you, Angela.
So
Oh, can you,
I
can
think
you,
we
sup-
just can notice it
us?
and then we can move to go into
I can get
executive
that from
session. Is that how
Amy.
he's been having us? do
never
it?
mind. Thank you.
So just
Alright.
put
So
put
just
it on.
put that on the agenda for personnel discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for 26th.
And you can be specific that it's about 911 center organization and salaries or something.
Because the last time,
We're not allowed to just put personnel matter. It's not enough.
I don't know how you want to put it, because last time they panicked.
Well, I can't not do public notice for that. Like literally, there's an ethics opinion that says you can't put personnel.
How about 911, because are we going to discuss job descriptions and?
Yeah, just, I mean, we're
Yeah,
just
just
talking about
911,
911
several items.
center, job, personnel,
Job description.
job descriptions and salaries, maybe put it that way, because that's really what it's about.
Yeah, because if you put reorganization. that'll be-
Well, I was just talking about the actual organization, not the reorganization, but yeah, we've had people step up and we need to review their.
We could also put
I need
organizational
to
chart
get 3 more
and make
names
sure there's one of those, and then that would bring them.
that I know.
No, I think that'll cover it actually, Amy, what you have. Yep.
And I'll make phone calls.
So that'll get, well, y'all know how I feel about it.
Okay, we need to get started on the budget. We'll go down to the table.
Did we finish all the agendas?
Yes.
And
You
we'll
get a point.
Unless
decide-
you have anything else.
We
Ms.
didn't do the
Taylor.
20th. That was my last on my list there of things. So we got our economic development set up. We got the 911 center stuff set up. We got the law enforcement ranks. Did we put the law enforcement ranks?
It's on the agenda items.
It's,
Yeah.
Bruce items?
It's next week.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's when it needs to be.
Yeah. So
And
it'll-
then I mentioned to Amy about streamlining the Bridge Day application, so we don't have
Yeah,
to do
and
them
I
every
thought-
year.
Yeah, and then this, do we know if we're gonna be ready for this on the 20th? What were we waiting for them?
I don't
They
think
need
we're
to
gonna
come.
be ready for that. I mean, they're
But we
supposed
don't have
to,
change it today.
No, we don't have
No.
to. I thought I had one question for them though. Oh, and so
yeah, they have to get that property mitigated before,
we can do anything.
yeah.
This might go away based on how today goes. And if it does, I will bump everything up half an hour.
Okay.
Well, we'd still have to sign paperwork, but that could be in the,
Oh, that'll be a 15-minute thing at the
I
beginning.
Yeah.
actually think that, isn't it Michelle's name that goes on it? Or
Which
is
one?
there-
that she's gonna pay all the bills?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
I signed enough checks.
I think she has to do that.
I really like the way y'all done this.
What's that thing called?
Mm.
A notary public. She has to be a notary and she has to sign off on it.
Can do that.
You have gotten your notary?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
of course she does. That's like a step one.
No,
The
step
clerks
two-
all have their.
Step
notaries.
two is,
Yeah,
no,
you
step
confuse
one
the
is
crap
like,
out of the
Yeah.
Secretary of State's office.
Yeah. Step one is, I've got to sign my name how many times for how many bank accounts? All right, let's go down on
So what were you saying she needs to notarize?
the budgets once we're done with them.
Yeah, and I'll get those minutes done. I had that had surgery this week, so.
How's that feeling?
Can we take a break soon?
Yeah, Brick, awesome.
Yeah. We can take a break too.
What does lay the levy mean?
Approve
Oh.
your budget.
That's from the budget. That's where the fire levy, police levy, and library levy, we got to do that on a certain day.
No, this is your budget. This is just, lay the levy means approve your budget.
Yeah.
And every county commission has to do it on that day of the month.
I wondered why.
Yeah, he's always fancy words.
I'll tell you a funny story. When we were doing they were trying to pass the school bond in 2015, and everybody kept saying levy versus bond versus levy versus bond. it's quiet day usually on the third Tuesday of April, whenever we're setting the budget. The news came flying in here. And they were like, we didn't know you were talking about the levy on the budget or on the agenda today. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they were like, the school levy. And I'm like, no, they're just setting their budget. It's the most boring thing ever. So he turned around and laughed. Because that was the only thing on the agenda that day.
I wonder whose kitchen we're looking at.
I think that's Joyce.
Joy Mar?
I believe so.
Yeah, we saw her shirt there for a long time.
Yeah, she's there. She's still there.
I had a
That's
great
her.
discussion with her yesterday. I want to engage her in some of these economic development groups that we get set up.
She sent me a text and said she'd like to help out with the, working on the, shit. Working on the UDC.
Good. Good, because she has a really good background for that
She's a
kind of
good,
stuff.
yeah. She's my buddy. I love
I
to
like
pick-
her.
I love to pick on her. She always comes back with something. Okay, I'm going down. Oh. Gosh, I'm so sore. Gotta stop falling.
Yes. A little bit older than you fall, you hurt yourself.
I'm young and I hurt myself now. Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. I get the right chair so I can hear. Excuse me.
Crown security products.
Oh.
Need a box?
Yeah, that's the time box.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You're gonna go from page 1 to whatever.
I mean, it's not even necessary, I'll tell you what I added. And
Then you'll have to give some reasoning. On the, on the sheriff, I want to make sure we got this address.
other than supplies and materials.
So I have two things to discuss. The letter.
And there's one person? No. No, they handed me these. I get it. Same person, two different reasons.
Oh,
It's probably his
we need to open up a new.
girlfriend.
So how can we do that?
I mean, it'll have to be on the agenda.
Okay, I want that on the,
What?
They didn't talk about red hooded, John.
What do we need to do?
We need to finish the budget and not worry about anything else yet.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm coming. See what I need to bring down there with me.
just a copy of the budget and the letter.
No, I'm seeing what I think I need to bring down there with me.
Just a
You
copy of
can
the
start
letter
talking,
and the
I can
letter.
listen.
Yeah.
Was you on the call yesterday afternoon?
That night they called,
Yeah,
that was not for the waste of time.
absolutely.
They said nothing.
Nothing,
Like, there, again, it's, let's justify why we pay you dues.
yeah,
That
that's
was the
exactly what I
focus.
thought too. And then I got on my KBC card, and it was really good. And called myself pretty good, we did yesterday. Then I talked to Jen yesterday. That was really good. Had few great discussions.
Sure, go get you some. I'll get you some of this, John.
Well, no, not yet. We're not supposed to.
Okay. I didn't know we wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, we're not supposed to yet.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. This is the only one, it was in your packet today, do you have it?
See,
Yeah, that's why I said bring your budget and your letter from your packet.
I brought my whole pack, my whole thing. So we are required to have a budget for coal severance. That's what this top sheet is. So this should be fine, considering what's there. And I think we will get about 100,000 in revenue. If we don't, we'll have to adjust it, but there's no way to tell. So as that is, it includes everything we said to include last week. There is an amount there for the Humane Society. And it still gives you a bottom line at the end. And that balances it, and it's enough to get us to the state by the deadline.
Well, we need to get it in, but we can still adjust
You can adjust it as many times as you want.
And
And I did not get that audit report yesterday from that woman.
You didn't.
I did not.
Wow.
And I made that very clear to the auditor yesterday.
yeah, she's gonna have.
That was
her
the
weight
weight
or something. I mean,
It's
this is
ridiculous.
We should probably do an official letter to her.
No, the official letter would go to, the Humane Society.
No, go to her, wouldn't it?
I would say to the auditor and let her know, but I mean, we're paying it, right?
Yeah.
She's working for us.
Yeah, but still, yeah, we should do it to the Humane Society because that could hold up their funding.
Well, no, but the auditor needs to understand, like, look, we're the one who's gonna pay you, and you haven't delivered what we asked. We asked for it to be before now, you know?
Yeah, the auditor's who's getting paid.
She's had it for 5 months.
They're the one, she's the one liable for it in my opinion.
Yeah, at
Now,
this
if she
point, I
wrote
think
us
so
2
too.
months ago and said, they're not
You're
giving
not
me,
giving me my stuff, yeah.
they're not giving me
Then That would
information.
have been the letter to them.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, so
But-
yeah, let's send them the letter then. Send her a letter.
And just, you know, we're gonna, you know, it's late.
Well, that's something we'll have to do and add to the agenda if y'all are gonna sign it.
I know that.
Okay,
Next week.
I just think that you should be direct with her.
I've already told her, I
Well,
told
she
her in
has,
the
but she
initial
needs to know
email,
that now
we
we're
need to
talking
have it
about-
over March.
You know, I mean.
I have all my emails.
Surely there is
Like I
a
would never
licensing
hire her.
board for auditors. And we're getting to the point now where she has been remiss and she has provided us any feedback. She keeps telling us we'll have it a certain day.
Yeah.
If you remember and have those correspondence.
I have it right here, it says, can you give us an update? This was on February 25th.
Mhm.
The commission needs an audit report to finalize budgets prior to the middle of March, and they're asking if this can be prioritized.
Well,
She said, I'll have it completed by March 5th.
Okay, so we need to put all that in there.
is there a deadline they have to meet if we request an audit? That's just an audit. Have to meet. So she-
Only if it's a single audit. No.
That's a single audit.
No, a single audit means they spent $750,000 or more.
Oh, she,
Yeah, so they don't know, that's our only deadline.
so she don't have it.
Was there a deadline in the contract that we?
I didn't do the, I have no idea.
Did
Yeah,
the Humane Society do the contract?
Nope.
and we're the one requested,
Debbie might have a copy of me,
What you need?
the animal shelter audit paperwork. Remember that contract?
Where they did it back in October, November?
Mhm. Thanks. Let's see if there's any.
Okay,
we know
In the future, though,
yeah,
we
we'll
will
go,
go
I've never heard again.
And if they want
Well,
extensions, they
anybody
can
would
request
want to do it.
extensions and be approved based on cause.
but I still think we need to work on, I think we ought to approve the budget, but still work on some kind of with it, utilizing the Humane Society and county with the, animals, the animal shelter.
DRC.
And DRC and county or
Well,
somebody.
we talked about using DRC as a park as well.
We just need to put some programs together and see if they work. I mean,
Is there
It's
somebody
growing.
in Dave's office? Actually, your office, either like Abby or somebody who might be able to, identify programs where, that could use the DRC's help and then get with the DRC and facilitate.
I mean, we could probably ask, but like when Jerry was here,
Mhm.
they'd have to have participation way up, because most of the time, just because they're a participant, doesn't mean they're there. It's
Right.
required in their classes.
If we don't have 68 or 69 people, I think is what the numbers use.
Well, and here's the thing,
Well-
if we can work that whole bracelet thing that we're talking about, instead of jail issue, then she's gonna have more people.
And I told Jerry when she mentioned that to me, I said, listen, can you change the days of your classes and the times of your classes? So,
They can have afternoons to work or
so,
something.
yeah, or
like that.
something, yeah, she said we can change it. We just need to know what we are gonna do. Because I said, there's no use in this person having to do 3 classes and they're spread out in 3 days and only hire class. I mean, I was just trying to
Right,
figure out if we can get them classes, and they take classes 2 days a week, the other 3 days they can work, or like you said, in the morning and work in the evening or something. I mean, just work out a plan.
yeah. The only thing we won't be able to work around is their court hearings, basically, or drug court. If they're drug court, they're a lot busier, but what we could do, what I envision is not that we can necessarily serve all of those things, but just identify what the needs are, so if Jerry has the people, she can send them. She can court and get a point of contact for her, so she can call the shelter and say, hey, you know, do you need some stuff done, you know, or like if we have certain types of work, if we have specialty type work and they have contractors, we've had people who are like drywall experts and contractors and painters who end up going over there, and we have that kind of work that needs to be done.
We always require them, don't they have to have liability insurance? What they have, you know what I mean?
Not normally.
If they're gonna work for us, would they have to have
Do
it?
they? We don't have anything.
If, I'm just curious, what was your estimate? You might have an estimate. You said that about the bracelets. But I'll tell you, just the light bulb, how many people do you think that they would be able to do that with? If they're not sending them? In other words, because we don't have the bracelets, it would cost too much. What do you think is that many more?
I don't think it would be a huge amount because alternatively, they're probably just out.
But it'll save a lot of money.
Yeah,
That's what we're. 6 will save 5,000 over.
yeah, so I
That's
mean,
big.
yeah, it'll cut some money.
It's big, man.
And there's another thing that I want to talk to the day report that they're looking into, but some of the other day reports have these, patches that people can wear that will tell if they're using drugs instead of like doing the P-test and stuff. And you don't have to then have them there all the time to do it, you know, like.
Is it by internet, or do they gotta come in and touch a phone to or something? Is it? how's it-
No, I don't know exactly how it works, but I don't know if the patch like will turn or something, but there's other technology that we're not using that might be better given our shortages of people to watch the tests and stuff like that, that I want to see. You
Okay.
know, and if we're looking at somebody's journeys over time and that sort of stuff. But,
That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
yeah,
Technology today is just, man.
yeah,
So there's got to be something out there that we can probably use.
there are things out there. So
Okay,
we need
all
to
right.
take a look at what that's something I plan to do whenever I hear about the board meetings, talk to them about, okay, what can we do differently now? We have a whole different set of things. We don't always have two women here to supervise these things. And a lot of times it's going to save a lot of people money because then they don't have to transport people.
All right, so any questions on the first page, Ruth?
I'm good with it.
Okay, second page?
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that really would be this one, actually page 14 and 16, that gives you the bottom line.
Look, SIPs in
State investment pool.
what does that mean?
It means that's money they put to the side when they grant money.
What page did you say?
It says 14 or 16.
Oh, 14.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay, I see it now.
14.
Okay.
Cut off some.
338791.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at the
Bottom
bottom line on account.
Yeah, that's our. Total. That needs to go away.
And then the,
So this one right here, the total 22 requested. So at the top, you see that's our estimated fund balance. That includes the CARES money that we basically have to hold on to until next year's audit is done. So it has to be included. You can't just leave money sitting there. So I split that between capital outlay and contingency. I put 415,000 of it. That money just sits there. And then I did put 400,000 in capital outlay and then maintain and repair equipment because everything's breaking. But this basically lets us submit a budget. We're in the black and everything's budgeted. There are no extras. And then the courthouse security, 2 positions were cut. There's no no raises, because if you're doing a wage
Benefit review.
yeah, it doesn't make any sense, because some people, I think, have already priced themselves out of that. So, and then, I can't read my writing, that says no cards, but we can look at it after the end of the year.
So, okay, so my concerns about giving the raises that were specifically requested are resolved by this budget, because we're not gonna consider them until we get wage benefits.
Right, because,
Well, that ought to motivate everybody to meet sooner than to.
sooner and actually
And one meeting.
do evaluations and do it. But, and anyway, that's another subject. Yes.
Yeah.
I have lots of thoughts on that too, but that's another subject. So, and all the budgets, like Ridley's, like that rate thing, will be fine because we do reimburse with Board of Education money. Those are on the next pages, like law enforcement does not go to Charleston, fire levy does go to Charleston, 911 does go to Charleston, but they're all balanced. I will tell you, without those Board of Education reimbursements, Ridley could not support as many people as he has.
true,
So
over by 2.
he'd be over by more than 2.
Oh, really? Now, he's gonna ask about his rifles.
Those are all in his supply line. We don't give him extra money. He always asks, it's taken out of his supplies.
Okay,
He's like, the county should pay for it. It is in your supply line. budget.
supply line, okay, good. All right, so any questions?
Good.
And then I think when we do set our priorities, we need to look at things like that people have requested, like, I get what, but that's cosmetic. I think we're gonna have some huge, the memorial building worries me.
It's falling apart.
Like, it's, that, you should go by there and see what they've had to do at the back of the stage. Water's running down the inside of the wall on the other side from where the leak is. They were up there all night with squeegees and sump pumps, keeping the water. Let me tell you what, Sonny and Ricky are like irreplaceable. Like their work ethic, I get rid of all, and Keenum.
Rudy's a young one, isn't
Even though Sonny can't hear
He just-
anything.
He's like a little
he?
guy.
We just had hired him last year.
Dude, he's amazing.
Oh,
I just sat up there until 4 o'clock in the morning to help him. Sonny told him to go home. And Ricky had it. Sonny left at 8. Ricky, when I got there about 7:15, Ricky was leaving. So I hope they have a solution, because if it rains again, that rubber thing's gonna fall.
That's why I said, I wonder if there's an emergency that we can call and say, hey, that split, can you help us out sometime?
I don't know, but then Amy said surf proof. Who's surf proof? Like
I've heard
clean up-
that.
They take care of disasters.
After, water, fire, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'd have solutions. I think it's gonna have to be our road people. Gabe was at the door and then he left, so maybe.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be that. It's gonna have to be somebody. I know they won't come in this weekend, but they may be able to do something next week.
Well, thankfully, it's not,
Supposed to be nice this week.
yeah, I think the rain is over and it's not supposed to rain till Wednesday. It was, I have videos, I'll show you. And pictures. So I mean, if y'all are good with it, I have like a 30-some tab spreadsheet that I can put all that info in that goes to the state auditor's office and sign it next week. And then a letter.
Is that the letter we talked about?
Yeah, this is what we started on yesterday. I think, did I give you a copy? Yeah, my copy's.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Here, you can look. This is the updated one, isn't it?
I think that is too, and then this is the one right all over.
Okay.
Why does it have Eddie's name?
Because every office holder gets a letter. So it'll be like a standard letter with their name at the top and what their budget is. We're gonna change that, it's gonna be a one-page letter, and then they're getting a spreadsheet with each line and the account numbers, instead of recreating the wheel and leaving room for error.
If we, and this is just a grammatical pet peeve, but if we say county commission, we need to say it, and if we say commissioners, we say we.
Oh, yeah, I don't even know what it says anytime in there. We made all kinds of notes.
There's commissions and we's, but it has to be commissions and it's, and, or I would say commissioners and we. And we have to change less.
You'll love the minutes that Amy did then. You talk about grammar corrections.
Some of mine, like, I know are bad. I'm glad I'm not doing them anymore. Like, I don't know why, but your last name has a T on it. In my mind, it has a T, the same reason Tom Dodd is Todd. Tucker. Yeah, basically. I always thought his name was Todd. I did too. I told him, I said, I'm sorry if I'm calling you Todd.
Now you messed me up, so that's the problem.
So, and realistically, this goes out April 20th after we lay the levy.
Yep.
But if you have input, like I like, what did you say? Is it in here?
No, it's not in here.
Long-term sustainability for the benefits of residents and employees.
That's down to bottom.
That's written on this.
That's written on the second copy. We appreciate and understand that focused on long-term sustainability, which best benefits the residents and employees of Fayette County.
Yeah, I got it here, but.
I know, I remember what he said now.
Yeah.
He's like, I mean, basically, you got it
I don't understand what that means.
So the letter doesn't.
I forgot what I mentioned to you yesterday.
Well, I was driving, so
Yeah, I was driving too.
I didn't write it down.
I'll try to remember what I said.
Yeah, you have a
So,
month.
Commissioners, okay.
So,
Yeah, it was explaining more what that meant, is what, with some different words. That went with my kind of words.
so, and I think that's
Tom, quit selling yourself short.
he knows exactly what he's doing.
But I'll try to email it to all three of you, because I can remember what it was. If you agree with this, I don't understand too. Me and her was talking after we had this, after I left, I was going over my brain of what we talked about. So she gave this to me to read too. And then I called her and said, well, why don't we add this to it? Because a lot of us not going to understand the long-term stability. And I said, but they won't know the reason behind this. So then I told her what about this, and she said, okay, it's a good idea, and we both forgot what I said. Now, I'll give me another here, I'll probably figure it out.
This, yeah, this sentence does.
I was looking at it for what I told her yesterday, but it's not here, so.
And then it's down to 2.
I'm not really official. I'm just set up and watch it. Just to manage it.
So I'm just gonna send this to you. I mean, that's basically what it needs to say.
Well, and
It's
it's a
a
payroll kind of thing. we're doing here.
bank letter because Amy, I can't send it together. Make pray about that.
Allison, go at it.
That's good. She's very wordy. Amy's very, so can we adjourn the meeting? Are we done? Are we agreeable to this? Do you need to vote on it? I'll put it in the spreadsheet and you need to sign it. Is that all that's on
I'm
the
good.
agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve, what, Ruth, put together for the, budget, 2021-22 budget.
Okay. I'll second it and just in case anybody's listening hadn't heard, the personnel, the pay raises and stuff are things that are going to be considered as part of the Wage and Benefits Review Board. That doesn't mean we're not approving them or some part of them. It just means that we're going to implement a system by which they are given fairly and based on merit. On that. Benefits, good Lord. Okay. Okay.
All right. We have a motion and a second on the budget for FY 21-22, even though the sheet says 2021.
Oh, it probably does. That's not what's submitted. That's just for y'all to look at.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we need a motion on the letter.
No, we got nothing.
Yeah, that doesn't go out until the 20th, so if y'all want to do edits, and we'll put them together and then y'all can decide.
Allison's making the edits now, so.
Okay, so you want a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Woo, I can't believe this.
And bring you some of that pudding.
Are you listening, Amy, when you turn it off?
Hey, Amy, we're done.
What's she call herself, Fayette County?
It says recording.
She's coming.
Oh,
I
there she is.
texted the wrong person.
Did you hear me say that we're done?
Yes, I
Okay.
was texting